Doc Rock, it's been about a month since you've joined us. Welcome back to the show.
Hallelujah.
You are, as we talked about last time, the director of strategic partnerships at our show's sponsor, Ecamm Live, and co-host of The Flow. What's new?
Oh my goodness. Couple of things got me super jazzed right now. The one, this is gonna sound stupid. The one that has me the most jazzed is that we can finally get 50 megabyte thumbnail uploads. Because coming from a graphic design background, I always hated those 720p thumbnails. I don't know why. I don't know why it just always kind of got on my nerves. And then so when we finally got the ability to put in the really big thumbnails, I'm like, bro, it's almost like Christmas. It seems so crazy. And I know there's probably, bigger fish to fry, but that one, because Benji, what does all Benji talk about? Everybody's watching on TV. When I open my TV and I see the crappiest looking thumbnail, even more crappy because it low res, it just irks me. And I have a Sony, like, relatively high-end TV because we were Sony dealers, right? So now that we can make our thumbnails look good, that's the first introduction anyone has to you. So a low res thumbnail is like showing up to prom in a wrinkled suit.
That's a good
So
point.
I am over the moon over that. It's such a simple thing, I know, but details matter in this business. Packaging, as you know, everybody likes to say packaging is everything.
For me, it's the other side of it, the friction of having to downgrade your thumbnail. It stops some people,
Yeah.
And so they might worse than using like a downgraded one. They just use whatever YouTube gives them,
Yeah.
and almost never is that going to be nearly as good as what you design.
Yes. Yeah.
How you package it appropriately for the viewer, for whatever your content is. And anything that gets in the way is hurting a creator. And YouTube, I think, overall has done a great job. So this is kind of like one of the last things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And, we, Doc, as you know, we talk about this all the time on the show in the sense that we believe in the power of TV when it comes to YouTube. In fact, YouTube right now is so powerful on the connected TV. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. That everybody else wants a piece of their pie, basically. And so YouTube is really up there, kind of at the top of their game. It's crazy.
Bro, that I was listening to this interview. It's very long, and I don't know if you had a chance to listen to it, but John Yase was interviewing Marquez, MKBHD. And I don't really, this is a weird thing about Marquez. I don't watch his content because I'm trying to see anything about tech. I come from the same industry, like I know what he's talking about half the time. However, I do study Nephew's craft because he is very intentional about the things he does. And so I'm paying more attention to the craft than I am about, the stories that he tells or whatever. And I think it's really amazing what him and the team has done, right? Phenomenal, right? Also, when I first got into content creator, there was four, melanated dudes talking about tech. Soldier Knows Best, Andrew Edwards, Marquez, and myself. We were it. We were the entire four. I left and went to Japan like a dummy and stepped off the platform for like 4 years. Came back and was like, Andrew and Marquez blew up. Me and Soldier disappeared, which is funny. And that was dumb. Hindsight being 2020. Also shitting the Soldier's Apple stocks I bought for $4. That being said, though, I study his craft, and John asked him a question and says, "So Netflix sends you a message," and he goes, "Yeah, he reach out to me all the time." He goes, "Are you coming in?" He's like, "No." Told him, "Don't bother. Like, I'm not leaving this platform because they need you. You don't need them." Whereas like YouTube has always been there for us, kind of thing, right? So I was so jazzed on that. Like, I'm like, bruh, that went a long way for his street cred with me of not being, ready to step off of YouTube and sell out to everybody else trying to catch up.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up too, because we've been talking a lot about the power of YouTube, and one of the reasons why we're committed to YouTube, really for I mean, I don't know if this is fair to say for you, Benji, but probably for at least the next decade, right? We really believe that it's got those legs. But I'm really excited this week, and I'm really excited that you're on this week for us, Doc, because it's our 26th weekly episode, which means that we've been doing this thing for half a year. Now, I'm not one to pat myself on the back, but I do think that it's worth dwelling on this for a couple of different reasons. Because About a half a year ago, when we started this thing, Benji told me something. And actually, the very first thing that Benji said was this. If we do this, we've got to be consistent and we've got to commit. I literally wrote that down. And so here we are, half a year later, still kind of at the beginning stages, if I'm being honest with myself. But if I had to say, if I just had to say, I would say that we've been pretty consistent, and so far we've been pretty committed, and I'm just proud of us for getting there. I think it's a testament to the ease of the setup that we've used, which we're about to talk about in a couple of minutes. But I also bring it up because, Doc, I know that idea of consistency is so core to your philosophy overall, right?
100%.
Benji, I'm curious about what you're for about half a year.
Well, no,
Yeah, I'm curious, Benji.
the stock was getting set.
I just want to know if you have heard this stat before, because I've been to plenty podcast conference and everybody says the average podcast only comes out 7 or 8 episodes before they hit this word that everybody made up called Podfade. Have you guys ever heard of that?
Never heard of it.
But I can kind of guess what it is.
Well, yeah, like you get 7, 8 episodes in and you just quit, and like they never to be seen again. And so, we always see these phenomenal stats about how many new podcasts have started. But if you really listen to that number, it's not inflated or slanted, whatever the word may be, skewed. There we go. And it's because most podcasts don't make it past 7 or 8 episodes. So 26. Hey, 26 red. You know what I'm saying? You guys just crushed the roulette joint. And then I guess the second part of it is, people don't understand. It takes a while before you get your sea legs and you get going. And I don't know if this story is true. I've heard it many different ways. I've even heard it in multiple cultures. My original understanding of the story was from a Chinese teacher about the dudes digging in the mountain and they get 3 feet from gold and they give up. And then the next person comes along like years later and like 1 scoop, 2 scoop, they hit the biggest gold vein. I heard the same story in San Francisco with the gold mine there. Whoever is true or not, people do it on a regular basis. Give up way too early.
Yeah, behind every successful creator, there's an incredible story of consistency and grit and just perseverance. I think about the most successful creators I'm close with, Sean Cannell, at hundreds. I mean, we wrote this book together, right? Like he's like the foremost expert on YouTube. And he did hundreds of uploads before anybody even cared about him, before I even met him, Judy, at least 100 before she made any money off of YouTube, which is kind of crazy to think about that. And, so many other creators, they kind of show up into your life. And it almost seems like they have everything figured out. And you don't realize when they first started, they started just like everybody else. Rarely does somebody just jumpstart the way to like success or this getting momentum. So when I told you after doing this, I mean, at that time, probably 17 years, 18 years, I said, are you really ready to do this? Are you ready to add this to your plate, to your other channel, to everything else we do? I like really emphasize, we've been coaching creators now for years. And I still was like, but the podcast thing, it's different because it's long form. It's a brand new channel. It's going to take a while. It's just funny. It has taken a while to like get some momentum. I almost feel like today, in a way, is like day number 1 for us because it took us half a year just to get to this setup that we've got right now. And people might not know this, but this is a new setup, a new era.
It is for us. Yeah, and actually speaking of a new era, one of the things that Benji's talking about, that he's hinting at here, is that we are trying a new setup right now. You might notice that things are a little different. There's more mess on the table. If Neutrally could pan, I don't know if he wants to go through that mess right now, he could and show you all the mess all across the table. That's because we're powering the show officially with Ecamm Live. And we've been doing this thing consistently. It would have never been possible without our show's sponsor, which is Ecamm Live. Because yes, once again, we are sponsored this week by the wonderful people over at Ecamm Live, the powerful live streaming platform for Mac. Doc, since we have you here, I wanted to ask you about some of the things you've been thinking about in Ecamm's world lately. Is there anything that you've seen lately that has excited you? Anything that in particular you're juiced about right now?
Honestly, because we are about to fully bring out dual mode has been something we waited for quite a long time. And um, we didn't want to just do what everybody else does, which is just crop. Like cropping would have been easy. And it was like, we needed to take it to the next level. And the thing that I think it solves for creators is you're able to record once, but intentionally also record your vertical format. And the way it has been prior to that, you're recording and then you're using some AI application or Final Cut Premiere DaVinci to crop that video. Every platform behaves differently. You know, um, I am definitely not wearing this Manchester United shirt if I was going in Leeds in England. Well, actually, yeah, I would because I'm that guy. But it would be you're going because you know you're going to stir some stuff, right? If I wear this at Liverpool, right, it's definitely going to stir some stuff. I'm ready for that. Some people wouldn't do it, and so there's something about the intentionality of doing it. So I know you guys been testing it and you've been playing with it. And I think it's incredible because you can make one setup the way it looks really good on IG or the way it looks really good on YouTube vertical. And you can make the other setup look proper for your normal stream. So it has me super excited just to see the type of stuff that we can do.
Yeah, I mean, just to add a little context there, right? Dual mode is Ecamm's mode that lets you create specific canvases for a horizontal stream and for a live stream within the same setup. And one of the things that we've loved, by the way, this is our first episode of this show where we're using dual mode and Ecamm Live. We're able to do the beta test. We'll have some more to say about it next week when we talk about it on the show. But we have specific scenes within Ecamm today that let us reach those different audiences natively, basically, even within the same platform like YouTube. Again, I'm really excited because this show today is all going to kind of come to a full circle at the very end. But man, have we really loved seeing what dual mode has done for us in terms of our shows. Benji, I mean, you've been hyped about
streaming just as a recorder. If you're I shouldn't say just, I really hate that word. But even if you're doing YouTube content creation, the fact that you could, so Benji could record his kitchen stuff that's not even for the live. People keep forgetting about, we're actually, don't tell anybody, but like a week or so, we're erasing the word live. Because we've always said a lot of people use us just for Zoom calls or just for webinars, just for teaching or whatever, because what it really is more about is a video production studio in your laptop or your desktop. So if you're doing what we call direct to tape or direct to drive, you can record it, the horizontal version and the vertical version simultaneously. So you can immediately go straight to sending your clips to socials and then take the other one, bring it into Final Cut DaVinci Premiere and chop away until your heart's content. So even if only you're doing teaching or, doing scriptures or, teaching people the latest kata, as we call it, hey, if I'm going to do a Sanshin Ichi, I can do my vertical and horizontal content at the same time. Sorry, I'm mixing karate with Benji's taekwondo, but
Well, Benji, I'm going to let you talk about that more later in the show. But if you are interested in that, if it sounds like this is something you might be interested in, you should see how it works for yourself by starting a free trial at the link in the show notes and use code BenjiTV15 for 15% off your first month. So again, go to the link in the show notes, start the trial, and use code BenjiTV15 for 15% off your first month. Thank you so much to Ecamm Live and for Doc for showing up for the show, for sponsoring our show. Doc, if you haven't visited us, you haven't visited us in the studio yet. We hope to have you here soon. But a couple of years ago, when Benji and I were starting to work on our course, Vlogging Academy, Benji sat me down and told me 3 things that he wanted his professional life to revolve around. Here they go. YouTube, creators, and the creator economy. There's one of those that is circled. I'll let you guess which one. So when there's news about the creator economy, we place it here in front and center in the show because that's a big deal for creators, right? And last week, Benji sent me this text, quote, "Is this real? If so, wow," end quote, with a link to the story titled, "Meta will pay Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube creators with big followings to post on Facebook." This is an article by Zach Valise from CNBC, and here's what he said. First on the program. Meta on Wednesday launched a new program aimed at luring top creators from TikTok and YouTube to Facebook, offering guaranteed pay and boosted reach. The Creator Fast Track program offers social media stars with established followings guaranteed monthly payments and increased reach on Facebook. It pays $1,000 a month to creators with at least 100,000 followers on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, and $3,000 a month to those with over 1 million followers on any of those platforms. Quote, "We have heard from established creators on other platforms that it can be hard or intimidating to get started," end quote. Yair Livne, vice president of product for Facebook creators, told CNBC, quote, "So this program is really meant to address that need. The guaranteed payments will only last 3 months, but Livne said creators will get access to Facebook's content monetization program and will continue receiving a reach boost in perpetuity. The announcement comes as Meta steps up its broader push to win over this segment of users. The company said it paid nearly $3 billion to creators in 2025, 35% up from the previous year. About 60% of that total went to Reels content, with the rest split across other formats. Facebook, while boasting over 3 billion users, has long struggled to attract creators who have gravitated towards TikTok and YouTube. The program is the next step in a process to attract those with established audiences to help boost original content on Facebook. So to summarize here for you, and then Benji, I want to hear your reactions to this because you were the one that texted it to me. Meta is offering guaranteed monthly payments and increased reach on Facebook for creators to join. The Creator Fast Track will pay $1,000 a month to those with 100,000 followers on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, and $3,000 a month for those with more than 1 million followers. And Meta is stepping up its broader push to win over creators and said that paid nearly $3 billion to those users in 2025, up 35% from the previous year. What do you think?
Well, first off, when does that start? Because I've got like 600,000 followers and Judy has 3 million. So we want to get into that.
So it's going to work then. They're going to actually get you guys to post there more.
Oh, for sure. You know, and it's funny. I totally forgot I shared that with you. But the thing that makes all these activations significant is that they're not new and they've always pushed to do these. We're talking, I don't know, for 10 years now. Platforms, including new ones. I was talking about that Verizon platform. I forgot the name.
Go90, right?
Go90?
I think it was Go90.
Yeah. And they'll have a pile of cash. They offer it to creators in return for something. Obviously, in this case, it's the post on the platform. But in the past, they would pay creators to post ahead of their YouTube. All of those, right, have gone away or been like short-lived or just you know, they were here one day, people loved it, and then they were gone, and then people kind of forgot about the platforms, and they're back to where? YouTube. All of this, including this, is just a way to go against the significance of YouTube and AdSense and the culture and the community that they built up. But it's still money, right? So for me, and I don't know if live streaming will be part of this, right? Like if live streaming would count towards this, but I've been posting to Facebook a lot more. By the way, guess who else is doing it too? Judy.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Why is Judy doing it?
Because I started to do it and she saw the numbers, right? She's actually starting to listen to me, Doc. She didn't listen to me forever. And
rightfully so.
Yeah, rightfully you know, like always loved hanging out with Sean because if she hears it from Sean, even if I've been saying it for 6 months, okay, and a good time. Okay. So she, I think, in the last couple of years, she's seen me become another level of creator.
Yeah.
Because I'm putting in the reps. I've always done the vlogs with her. Yeah, I've done my food channel. I had video influencers. But the amount of reps that we've been putting in, nuts. And the consistency. What's interesting, it's my wife. She already respects me. Yeah. She knows what I know. Yeah. I mean, I've got this best-selling book, YouTube Secrets. We had video influencers. Look at my network. But you know what she respected the most? Just uploading every single week, 2 times a week. That's why, like, even us live streaming, right? Neutrally and I, even though like she doesn't always want the production side of her kitchen, she's like, okay, he's doing this for a reason. And so she's starting to listen to me. So going back to Facebook, she's noticing I'm getting a lot of views. Now, I will say this, they juice those views. Oh, for sure. And I see it a lot. Well, initially, say you don't upload for a long time. And you start uploading, you'll notice like, ooh, that video went viral. Or, oh man, I got a good hit right there. And then slowly and slowly, even if the quality doesn't go down, you see those views go down lower and lower. Now, that could be anecdotal, right? Because I'm just paying attention to mine. But this is the story of a lot of creators. So this money that they're going to pay you.
Yeah.
can they just sustain that forever?
Well, that's what I'm going to ask. Is like, to me, why do they only do it for 3 months if the whole game is to get people over from YouTube? What's the point of that?
They just want to get people over. See, this is the thing. Even if you make money off of Facebook in this 3-month period, would you agree that views are views?
Yes.
Okay. Now, they might not be as valuable as views on another platform, but views are views. And this is one of the reasons why I love the multi-stream function, where I don't know if that's the right term, where we're going to different platforms, because I've literally tripled and quadrupled my view count by going to not just YouTube, now YouTube Shorts, and Facebook and Instagram. So if I go talk to a brand, that's way more enticing than if I were to just go live on YouTube, because I'm reaching a bigger audience. Again, if we're real honest, which I usually am very transparent about it, the average view duration is going to be different on Facebook. We can talk about that later than the average view duration on YouTube, okay? But still, 40,000 views versus 10,000 views, that's a big deal. So going back to Facebook, they know that there's other benefits. What if you start getting followers? What if you start getting discovered by a new audience? Also, again, they can't make it go forever.
Yeah.
See, that's why AdSense on YouTube is very special. It's very sustainable. It's very fair. Even, creators can argue, oh, we should get a bigger percentage, whatever. It's always been there now for 20 years.
Yeah.
And that makes it something that's unbeatable, unbeaten, and creators rely on that. Facebook, they and other platforms, they're just desperate to get you on there. Because what do we always talk about? Why do we talk about the Netflix stories, the Paramount stories, the Disney stories? Why do we talk about those platforms, those streaming apps in relation to YouTube? YouTube has the ultimate leverage, the ultimate edge. They get people to give them free content.
Yeah, and content that works on the TV specifically. So ones that, like, it puts them in competition not only with like Instagram and TikTok, which also have people who upload content, but also things like Paramount and Netflix and stuff.
Content everywhere.
Everywhere.
Content on the TV. I mean, look at my stats. When I'm doing live streaming, again, we're going to go into these probably, but my live stream analytics is not just the TV. It's the TV. It's mobile.
Yeah.
It's laptops. What's the other one? Oh, tablets. Like, and it's strong, right? It's not like 90% mobile and then maybe like 5%, everything else. No, it's like kind of spread out. And it's just showing you that people love and they know they can consume YouTube on all these different devices. So YouTube's just dominating in a way that we could have never foreseen. And TV was just kind of the beginning, in my opinion, of this new era of YouTube, even beyond the television viewing behavior.
Yeah, no, I agree. And let me read the next section here from the article, and then Doc, I want to hear your thoughts about the whole situation. They talk about eligibility next, and I think that this might juice the conversation a little bit because, Benny, this is what you're going to need to know if you want a little piece of that money. And here's what he says. To be eligible, creators need to share at least 15 reels on Facebook within a 30-day period, posted on at least 10 different days. The content does not need to be exclusive to Facebook, but must be original to the creator, including AI-generated content. Doc, I'm curious about your overall thoughts, but also that eligibility restrictions there.
Actually, I think the eligibility restriction is good because that does allow you to do what most people can't do, is be consistent. Here's the dope part about it. Get a scheduling app. Canva does it free. Not a fan of Canva, but hey, they do it for free. Adobe Express, which I am a fan of, also does it for free. Just create all your stuff and then have them sitting there and let them, dial out, or go get a better, subscriber thing, not subscriber thing. The word is scheduler, like Later or some of these other guys that are out there. But I want to pull it back to the views because what Benji said is correct. And it does feel anecdotal, but here's the reason why. Now, this is not my original idea. I'm stealing this from Samir, but I love the way he put it, and it sticks in my head like, like that first time I had a $550 Wagyu steak. This is sitting right next to that. Okay,
Making new salivate, by the way.
Look. Listen, once you get to Japan and you get the real deal Holyfield Wagyu, like in Kobe or, Hida or some of these other places where they actually grow Wagyu, not Wagyu America, by the way, it's not a tail, it's Wa. Wa means Japanese, right? Anyway, there's 3 types of views. There's empty views, These views provide high numbers, lack any substance or value, and it doesn't align with the brand's long-term goals or the creator's long-term goals. Then there's forgettable views, views that hold no long-term value and are forgotten immediately after watching. Those really poignant reels where somebody's making a point, or something that happened in sports 3 weeks ago. All of those funny reels from the Super Bowl, you probably can't remember most of them because Super Bowl is old at this point. Y'all are the champs, but outside of Seattle, we moved on. We went to Olympics, and then now I'm getting ready for my Celtics to get a back-to-back. And then there's the memorable views that create a lasting impact and build connection with the viewer. So if I run it back to Benji making recipes, right? Frying up garlic in the frying pan with mushrooms today, that image is in my head. One, I didn't eat before this. Two, that's a smell that just sticks with you. And so the next time I'm in the kitchen, or the next time I'm at Wajimaya, right? The next time I'm at the store and I'm like, let me get this, let me try. You know what? Benji had tried this one ingredient. I'm going to try that. Oh, I was going to make maitake mushrooms. Let me run them out to the grill and do it there instead of doing it in a dry frying pan, which I have been doing. I want to see if it makes any difference. So those, although they were fleeting, although I was busy, although I was folding laundry, vacuuming, washing dishes, those are memorable views. So those high numbers aren't out the window because somebody is stretching their dough different this week because they saw Benji do it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the difference. It's not going to get 70 million views like when Jimmy decides to go, buy somebody, dinner, whatever, he does to make people like those views. But I tell you what, I don't remember some of those really amazing altruistic things that Jimmy did that got millions and millions of views. I can't only think of one right now as something about standing in the circle to win a car. Other than that, and dude got hundreds of videos, I don't remember none of them.
Mm.
But I remember Benji making pizza. I remember Matt with the damn cacio pepe pizza.
Mm-hmm.
A cook named Matt. You still get on my nerves because I got to fit. What the heck, ice cube on the pizza? No, straight up. Like, you know what I'm saying? So what are you trying to do for real? When you ask yourself, when you're making the content, right? What type of views do I want? Do I just need these numbers to prove to the brand that I'm gangster, or do I really need to make an impact on somebody's life? At the beginning, Benji told you, got to be committed, and these are the things that are on my mind. That proves to you he was about the impact. Wrote the book, got the receipts, right? He could have been a bigger creator just by getting bigger numbers, by doing the things that get you bigger numbers. But the brother is making an impact and making me hungry.
So give me the three terms again. It was empty views, something, and then memorable views. What was the second?
I remember empty views because it's kind of like MTV. There was a point when it was all music, and right now there ain't no dang music on the damn station. So empty views, memorable views, and forgettable views. And the one that you want is probably the memorable view.
And we talk about that.
I'll tell you right now, there's reels with 20 million views, and you don't remember what that reel was about. Even creators on their own channel will look at a reel with 20 million views and not remember what that reel was about because they got a bunch of those. But that's why that girl, I can't remember her name, and I don't want to sell her out because I feel bad for her, but she tried to do an event in Vegas and nobody came, even though she had 20 some odd million followers on TikTok. Love TikTok. I don't really do it. Same reason as Benji. Those are empty views, dog. I'm a grown man. I don't need somebody to gas me up.
Well, what you're talking about there, Doc, too, is a lot about the relationship piece. And I want to finish this section with one more quote, actually, from Zuck, because he actually commented directly about this program. They're kind of weaving this in together. There's some quotes from previous segments of this sort of revamp of Facebook that they're going through. But this is what they say. Quote, "I just don't think that a lot of creators today think about Facebook as the primary place they can go. But that itself actually creates this huge arbitrage opportunity," Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg said on the Colin and Samir show last March. Zuckerberg said at the time that he wanted to revive what he called the original spirit of Facebook, or quote unquote OG Facebook. Since then, the company debuted a Friends tab for more personal content and overhauled the way it pays creators, shifting from a revenue share model to one based on engagement. Meta is betting that a mix of upfront payments and expanded distribution can help jumpstart activity on Facebook, particularly as creators increasingly complain about inconsistent earnings across platforms. quote, "We really want every creator to see Facebook as a home for them and a necessary platform to be on," Levinas said. Quote, "We believe monetization is a big part of that story." Now, on the topic of the creator economy, about a month ago, I was scrolling on Instagram and I got an ad from Paramount Ads Manager, which is their tool that lets you place ads on shows and apps. So think about Paramount. I want you to think about it from their perspective, right? They run this thing called Paramount Plus. We've talked about it a lot on the show where, you know, they're doing this whole thing where they're buying Warner Bros. Together. I promise, Benji, we're not talking about that today. So, you know, get back in your seat before you walk out the door here. They make money two ways, right? And this is true of pretty much every streamer, YouTube included to some extent, but most streamers are kind of the opposite of YouTube. The first way is you pay the $13.99 a month subscription and they take that money, right? And they turn around and they pay themselves and they pay their creators, right? The second thing that they do, and this is becoming more and more important, is advertising, right? Obviously, it's like TV. Cable had ads, broadcast had ads, TV and ads are like, you know, peas in a pod. Now, on this show, we talk a lot about how advertising is becoming more and more important for these streamers, as I was just talking about. Now, of course, Paramount is one of those streamers, and that's why I think that this ad popped up in my feed, because to run an ad, they need two things. The first one is somebody who's watching, and the second thing is they need an advertisement to show. They're running a two-sided market there, right? So if they don't have someone watching, they have no supply of ad slots. And if they don't have someone advertising, they have no demand. So not only do they need to get subscribers, which is probably what most people think of when they're thinking about growing these businesses, right? They also need to get advertisers. And if advertisers aren't thinking about it, because the entire media economy is changing, people are advertising on TikTok, for example, then they might not advertise there. So there's lots of really bad pieces of conventional wisdom out there about how ads work in this new media ecosystem. And so Paramount, I think with this thing that I saw on Instagram, was trying to educate potential viewers about the virtues of spending money on platforms like Paramount Plus, which are called, and this is your term of the day, connected TV or CTV platforms. We talk about this a lot on the show. So that meant they put this out in my timeline. It was actually a call to action to download a report that they put together about the state of the CTV economy. And I wanted to share that report with you guys and just kind of walk through it a little bit together. Now, a caveat before we get started here, the people who put this together obviously are biased a little bit in some way, right? They're running a platform where they want you to buy ads, right? But I've reviewed it and I think it does a pretty good job of citing high quality sources. They went out to third parties and got some things that they were not running a lot of these studies. They were just compiling this information. And it does a great job of compiling kind of these bigger ideas that we haven't gotten to talk about on the show yet in a way that I found useful as a guide to talk about the things that we do talk about on the show, which is like connected TV on YouTube. So are you two ready to kind of go through this really quick?
Yep.
Okay, let's pull up the shot of the iPad here. And you should be able to, Doc, can you see this all right?
100%.
Okay, great. So we're looking at the Paramount Audience Impact and Intelligence Report. Benji actually can't see it. I'm just now realizing.
It's okay.
Neutrally, if you could pull it up on our two-shot here. It says CTV versus social, where attention meets impact. They start off with this executive summary, but I'm just kind of going to scroll right past it because I think the details are the most interesting part of this. And the first section here is they say, putting your money where your audience is. And so, the graph right here that you see at the very top shows you the share of digital ad spend in Q4 of 2025. So this is just the last full quarter, basically, that they had of information when this was coming up. And they show you the amount of digital ad spend on social and on CTV right there, right? And they show you that CTV is pretty small here. It's growing, but small at 9%. Okay. And social media, this is like TikTok, Facebook, everything else you'd expect is at 31%. So it's getting outdone right now versus CTV. Now, of course, they're putting this here as a reference point at the very beginning of the piece because there's more to come. But when you guys see these numbers, do you have any reactions about this, about digital ad spend?
No, not necessarily. Not yet.
I have one reaction.
Yeah.
And that is, of course, like you said, you can view data any way you wish or shape or form. Here's the thing that matters to me. What is the ad about? What is the product? Okay. If I'm on the television and, you know, Patagonia, they don't run an ad, but if they ran an ad on the television that said, hey, come and check out these new rain jacket because, you know, you fixing to go to SeaTac and it rains like every 5 seconds over there, and 3 weeks of Hawaii nonstop rain. Yeah, if I saw an ad about getting a new rain jacket on a computer, I'm at the computer. That converts. But if I'm watching Manchester United and I'm just like waiting for halftime to be over, that's not going to convert. So in a way, depending on my product, right? If I'm selling Benji's pizza sauce, I need that to be on social media because I have the phone in my hand and I can order it instantaneously. Benji's pizza sauce ad in the middle of my crime drama on 48 Hours. I love you, B, but I ain't buying no sauce. I'm trying to figure out if the husband did it or if it was the other ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I get it, but yeah, it really depends on what you're trying to get out of it. Some ads are for conversion. Some ads are for top of mindness. You know, some ads are, you're not going to know about it now, but when you get ready to purchase, I'm going to be the first thing to hit your brains.
Let me use that as a chance to skip ahead a little bit here, Doc, because what you're basically talking about is the funnel that as marketers create, right? Who's at the very top? Whose attention are you capturing? Who are you getting to the computer to do the search, to go to your website? Who are you getting to actually check out and give you their credit card information so that you can do a little exchange of money and product there, right? And they actually have a section about this, and this is in part 3, where they say from mood to ROI. Now, the reason that they're saying mood is because there's a section above this, which we're going to get to in a second, where they talk about the mood of the person who's actually on these platforms. And so neutrally, if you can pull up the iPad, I'll show you some of the statistics here that they have about this. So the first thing is that at the very top here, you'll see that they're talking about brand recognition. This is the top of their funnel. Sorry, I don't have it the full screen here, but right here, they're basically saying, do you recognize the brand that's advertising in this scenario? And they're saying that, hey, if you advertise on CTV, 80% of people end up having, these are like who are engaged viewers, ended up being able to tell this in their study. 60% on social recognized your brand after the fact. So of course, bigger is better here, right? CTV is winning. Now this, I think, gets to what you were talking about, Doc, about the idea of a memorable view, right? I think that's what you called it.
Correct.
And so that then translates to the next stage of the funnel here, which is aided ad recall. By the way, this is the funnel here going down like this, getting smaller and smaller because not everybody's going to move to the next step. So once you get to this next step, aided ad recall, the question is, does connected TV drive stronger recall than social, or does social drive stronger recall than CTV? And once again, we see CTV wins here at 57% versus 49%. I think that this is pretty much the same undergirding philosophy as we see here. Now, the margins aren't enormous, but they're big enough to make a difference, maybe in terms of return on investment, right? This is where things, I think, get sort of interesting. And I would also say that, honestly, this is where it gets most arguable. But I do like this analysis here where they say at the very bottom of the funnel, they talk about this thing called an ROI multiplier. And so the question is, if you spend $1 on targeting, how much money will you get in return, basically, for spending that dollar on advertisements? And what they found is that on TV, more than, and again, I'll show here, more than digital video, more than paid social, more than display advertising, more than paid search, obviously more than radio, hopefully, CTV wins here at 2.1 times. So that means for every dollar that they're spending in their study here, the advertisers were getting back $2, $2.1 basically, right? $2.10. And so you can see here that this is their takeaway, so take it with a grain of salt. CTV helps your brand show up, stick around, and drive results from first impression to final conversion. Doc, since you led us off in this conversation, I'm curious about your reactions to what we're seeing in this lineup.
Oh, this is 100%. Okay. Imagine this. I got a long forehead about 16 head, and I go, dun, 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 dun. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, yeah, that was money.
Right? If I start playing Jingle Bells Holiday Christmas song from Lexus, when you hear it outside of Lexus, you hear that song like in a standard classic plays, you go, you just start thinking of December to Remember, right? So yes, of course, like it does bring that stickiness. And, you know, I just remember that once we lost radio, I feel like we did lose a little bit of that jingly type thing. I am so surprised on social media, more people don't do jingles,
Ah, that's interesting. Yeah.
especially after Nathan Ardanda and his skateboard and Fleetwood Mac. Listen, fam, when that song came out the first time, I was in high school. I just aged myself. But I love that song. I love Stevie Nicks, one of the greatest voices ever. But after that, seen that commercial, I went deep back into my Fleetwood Mac listening and headphones, just rocking out to that song. And just gonna be really stupid. You know what I drank a lot 2 years ago? Cranberry juice.
Yeah.
It had Kettle One in it, let's be honest, but I drank a lot of I drank a lot of cranberry juice after that. So it worked, bro. It brought me back to a nostalgia of me and my friends in high school sitting around in our band garage trying to do Fleetwood Mac terribly, by the way. And it also made me think of football practice because we used to do Tusk, which is a Fleetwood Mac song with drums when I was like in junior high, making my way to high school. And I just deep dove into like Fleetwood Mac.
Hmm.
And I also started buying the double jointed cranberry juice at Costco. So like it does work, but I'm surprised social media folks don't be doing jingles, bro. It would stick more. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Not a
Yeah.
thing.
That is weird. But Tim, what you're talking about is the memorability there, right? And I'm curious about what your thought is about in terms of the memorability, in terms of the platform that people are viewing on, right? Or maybe the behaviors there. So beyond a jingle then, do you think that TV versus something like even like YouTube maybe has a difference in terms of that memorability?
Yes, and here's why. Okay. All right. This is gonna be a reach, but I want you to think about this real cap. Um, TV now is YouTube. And this is where YouTube is going to shine. I used to say this when I used to coach my people, my creators. I used to coach them all the time, and they're like, "Well, I want to stream on Facebook and YouTube and whatever." And I go, "Okay, Facebook is going to give you a false sense of security, and here's why. You go to Facebook to talk to your friends. Maybe you're in a group for an app that you like Stream Deck or Final Cut Pro or ObsBot or whatever. Maybe the Ecamm fam group, whatever." But your intentionality is to go there to have a conversation, to argue with some people, spy on the ex, catch up with high school friends, send messages to family. When you go to YouTube for one thing and one thing only: watch YouTube. They only have videos. Nothing else. The music and podcast side is there, but that's in the car. It's a little bit different. Your primary focus for YouTube is to go to YouTube to watch a video. So when Facebook tried to do Facebook Live, they tried to do Facebook TV and Facebook Watch, they never really caught the traction, even though at the time they had a bigger platform, because the intentionality to go to Facebook was this girl you got like at school, some project you working on, catch up with a fam, like all these things. None of it was watching video. LinkedIn tried video, still can't catch to this very day, right? All the money, all the CEOs, everything, LinkedIn still can't catch because to them it's the side salad. It's not the main dish.
Huh.
YouTube is like In-N-Out Burger. They sell one thing
Yeah.
with a side of lemonade and some fries.
That's why when they tried to do Google Plus years ago, so this is kind of throwing shade to YouTube. I agree with you. What YouTube's good at is videos. So they should stick to videos. And they've actually done a great job. But when they started trying to do socials, failed. Even
Wave was,
Oh my God. Forgot about Wave.
what was Wave?
I think it was a Google.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was a Google thing.
You know,
but it was
even
after the one you said before.
even the recently, Austin told me they're trying to implement DMs.
Yeah. On YouTube, by the way.
I think DMs could work eventually, but right now, no one's going to care. In terms of the creator community, I'll tell you why. Because creators DM on Instagram, at least the ones I know. Even TikTokers. This is what's crazy. Really famous influencers on TikTok. If you want to get a hold of them, Instagram. Okay?
100%. Yo, we can text each other. Benji and I will send each other messages on IG. We can text each other directly to our phones. But
No, exactly. So
sometimes I'm like, here, this is funny. Oh, look, check this out. I thought you might like this.
there's already an expectation of what this platform's going to do for you. And if you just are honest about yourself, and I love that Doc brought up Facebook,
Yeah.
because even though I do post to there, I know that even if I get a lot of views, and this is what I think you're saying, Doc, that false sense of safety or false sense of even succeeding. Look at the AVD. Now, I will say this. I probably get an AVD longer than most other people. So some of my Facebook live streams or videos are getting 2 minutes, which is a lot.
Yes.
Okay, for Facebook. But compare that to what I'm doing on YouTube, 18 minutes, 20 minutes. That is partly because of what Doc is saying. People go to YouTube not only to watch videos, but in the right situations, watch a lot of videos for a very long time.
Yes.
And this is why, I know that we're going to be talking more about live streaming. That's why live streaming should work more on YouTube. Now, on that note, this is why Twitch is so successful because they're just committed to live streaming.
Yeah.
So just the way creators are successful at live streaming on Twitch, they don't necessarily expect a lot of the evergreen videos or the on-demand videos on Twitch. They go and take that content and put it to YouTube.
Yeah.
So even YouTube isn't going to be the best at everything. I think they have the best chance though. And proof of that is Shorts. Shorts was completely different type of viewing behavior. It was totally different than TikTok, but it worked. Now, when you ask somebody, hey, where do you watch your short form content? Just generally speaking, it's almost always going to be TikTok
or Reels,
but second to TikTok, right?
Yes.
Shorts is going to be way down. That's true. So I think for a creator, don't try to force something on the wrong platform. So even though everyone said, oh, do short form here or do LinkedIn videos, right? I mean, like if you want to win at long form videos, it's YouTube. If you really want to win on the platform for most types of live, Twitch. Facebook, it's funny. You know what works there? Short form, quick hits when they want to escape, but quickly their mind turns right to, hey, what's my friend saying? What's my mom posting? And so we started this conversation with CTV. What does CTV even stand for, by the way? CTV.
Connected TV.
Connected TV, okay. But this whole like advertising strategy, I'm kind of surprised that they get $2 for every $1.
Yeah, I am too, actually.
I have a theory about that. I'm curious what you think, Doc, and I know we want to move on to the next topic, but I think that TV fell out of style, fell out of fashion so much, and there was other places you can advertise so well that a lot of people moved off the TV. So if you stayed on TV for the right audience, it can have a really good ROI.
Yeah.
This is why I think the Super Bowl commercials are even more valuable.
Yes.
Right? Because people just aren't on TV as much. So if you're watching TV, because you know what's funny? It's novel to me watching the news on TV now. And I'm like looking at the ads, being like, it's kind of like back in the day. And I'm just like curious what they're doing. Now, will I act on it the way I do on Instagram or on Facebook? I literally bought this tea tumbler once within like 45 seconds of seeing the ad on Facebook. Okay. I rarely get like tricked by ads, but on TV, I am actually remembering more and more what I'm watching on those ads. And it's because it became so unique and rare for me to, one, watch TV, but two, the ads are just like, it's not as varied, the advertisers.
Totally, yeah.
I actually think for local audience, like a local target audience, TV does actually work. Because you know what I remember? My plumbers, the roofers.
Yeah.
I like all the different companies that I might need if I'm trying to do a repair on my home, and they're still on TV, good or bad. So anyways, that to me is kind of surprising, honestly.
They tend to have goofy commercials that you tend to remember too, right?
And that was by accident, I think. Not.
Yeah, there's a roofing company here, and it's funny because their ads are super cringe, but yet adorable because they're family, and the daughter and the dad look alike, and like the daughter's about to take over the dad's business, and so they're like, once a customer, always a friend, like that, and then she hits the microphone, and it makes this weird noise, and nobody edits it out. So now when people walk around like saying that, and it's Dave's Roofing, and the daughter is Dave Lynn, super cute. So like if I had a hole in my house, I would probably call David Davlin because I feel like I know them because I've been laughing at their commercial for 8 years. You know what I mean? And my friend owns a roofing company. So sorry, Ronnie, if you happen to see this by accident, I actually would call you because you would give me the discount. But still, I always want to bump into them at Costco or something and just like how adorable their commercial is, And I think one thing that you said, Benji, about the 2-to-1. Here's my I can speak from my survey, right? Every one of my platforms where I happen to still like their shows, I actually pay not to see none of them ads.
Mm.
If IG Premium existed, right? I might kick them 10, 12 bones a month not to have to see ads because the current implementation of the UI, Meta, fix this, flick, flick, flick. You get to something that's an ad and you flick, it pulls up the interaction for the ad. If you want to skip an ad, you actually got to exit out of it. Because I have so many times accidentally went to this thing and I'm like, no, bro, I'm not having that kind of problem yet. I know I'm of the age group, but I don't need to take those pills. Thank you. Why are you showing me this ad? Yeah, it's just really, really weird. And I wish I was Benji. The amount of dumb stuff I bought off of Instagram ads, like solar flashlights and stuff. Um, yeah, it was correlated with the cranberry juice and the vodka though.
Yeah. Oh, Facebook's the worst. What in terms of what he's talking about when you're flicking,
Yeah.
and then you flick up and it brings up the additional information, right? And then you try to like tap it, and then you accidentally tap the actual ad, and then brings you to the
Yes, take you to the website. I'm like,
there was all the trickery of ads,
I think that the thing you guys were talking about, though, with the return on investment gets us to the next piece here that they talk about, which is how much the increase is in terms of people who are paying for CTV budgets. So if we can bring that up neutrally. Right here, you can see that they say that there's 71% of marketers who are increasing CTV budgets in 2025, pulling mostly, by the way, from social media down here. So they're saying half of the people who are pulling from any other budget in terms of their advertising budget are pulling away from social media and moving to connected TV. And so I think all of these reasons that you guys are talking about are part of the reasons why advertisers are more and more seeing this thing as attractive. And so as a creator, what you should recognize is that where the advertisers go is where the money's going, right? So you should really start, in my opinion, start thinking about the connected TV as a place for your content, because without landing there, you don't get to participate in that growth. And I think here's a couple of reasons why, like philosophically, that they bring it up. And Benji, you're going to love this one. They talk about the time spent per platform. And you guys were just talking about this before. The first one that they talk about here is social media, where they say the average session length is about 8 minutes. They bring it up over here. This is the 8-minute session length. Here's what they say for connected TV. That session length is 99 minutes on average through their research. Now, on social media, they also bring up the number of hours per day. Social media is pretty formidable at 1 hour and 31 minutes. But here on connected TV, you see that it's 2 hours and 35 minutes. So again, connected TV is dominating sort of the total watch time picture.
Are they breaking it down by demographic? Is there a certain demographic here?
This is across all viewership.
Oh, wow.
For these statistics.
2.5 is for connected TV. So that could include streaming platforms.
Yeah, it includes streaming platforms and YouTube, et cetera. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. That's the expectation. When you turn on the TV, even if it's in the middle of the day, you might just let it play in the background. If you're watching it in the evening, I know this because my data shows it to me. The closer to the evening the video's life goes, the higher that AVD is. If I do,
bro.
Yeah, and good point. Closer to the weekends, it really skyrockets. So if you guys are not like following what I'm talking about, because I know that if you're just jumping in, it's like, what the hell is he saying? When I upload a long video or I do a live stream earlier in the day, any day of the week, okay, I get a certain AVD. Audience view duration, the amount of time they watch that piece of video on YouTube specifically. As the day goes on, closer to the evening, that number goes up. Now, in the past, 10 years ago, that number would have gone down. Why? because if it's a good video, it's showing it to more people. It might not be your core audience. It might be people that don't even know you. So of course they might not even watch as much of it because they're curious about it. They're watching it, but they're not that interested, and then they move on. So it drives it down. But right now, maybe they're just putting it to my core audience, not as much discovery. It just goes up and up. And then if like Tuesdays are days to do cooking live streams, closer to Friday, if it's Saturday in the middle of the weekend, you do see it go up. Now, again, there's other variables affect it. But why that matters for what the topic that we're talking about is because of the television.
Yeah.
Because the closer to the end of the day, more likely you're going to not only turn on the TV, but you're going to sit in front of the TV. And on the weekends, I don't know about you, Doc, but our TV, more and more now, is just on all day. Now, it's not always on a show, and we're not actively watching it, but it's just up there. And what's kind of interesting is, guess what platform we have up all day?
I imagine YouTube.
And guess what is up on there in the background usually?
Actually, I don't know.
Well, what if you had to guess? Music.
Oh, interesting. Music.
Okay. Like, they got these AI things like Hello Kitty just hanging out with her friends. And it's like Judy can literally just say something random. Okay, Doc, tell me if this sounds like actual music or some gobbledygook. Play me bossa nova, chill, jazz, living room, soft tone, like kid music or whatever, right? And it'll find something. You want to talk about hallucination of AI? No, YouTube's like, hey, we're going to find you the closest thing. And then she go like, oh yeah, with Hello Kitty hanging out with her friends. Like, it's crazy. There's just so many options out there, and that's just playing. But what do you do if that's playing on the background and you're like, oh, I want to see a video of something? You're so close to just watching that video on the TV because YouTube is already up on the television.
Yeah.
And that's where YouTube is winning in a way that a creator can't even really fathom, especially if you're younger. You don't think about this. Maybe you don't even have a TV. I think most people are using TVs. It's just wild because those videos, which I always wonder, Doc, if they're even making money or not, like these, like AI music type of
what is it called? Hip hop lo-fi girl?
Exactly, like that kind of stuff. I always wonder if they're making money.
I believe they are. I don't think it's as big as you think it is because their average view duration is so long or whatever. I think their CPM is low, but they ain't doing nothing, dog. So they are printing money. And by the way, if I remember correctly, last time I checked, that person has like 50 channels. So if your channel's only making $200, $300 a month, 50 deep, fam, and coming from Russia, where it comes from, yo, that person is making good money.
Now, I do believe this, though. It's probably the least competitive it will be, and that's part of why super long form creators are winning, but it's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
So everything that we're talking about, I always kind of like go deep when I notice this is the least I've talked in any podcast, but why this is important for me to rant about and talk to a creator about. All this data is just showing you that content on the television is really the big win. Yeah. What do we start with? We started with a connection, relationships, and being memorable. And now we're talking about like what ads are working. I mean, even the fact that they're getting $2 for every dollar spent. That doesn't happen on Facebook. You're lucky if you get $1.05, right? Right? You make 5 cents off your dollar. Yeah. And when you told me that, I thought you were talking about cable, like broadcast television. My gosh. So now I'm thinking if I'm going to advertise, you should advertise there. Now, we're talking about advertisers, businesses. Think about a creator. You've talked about this. I don't know if this is something we want to reveal. Should we run ads? Because we can target a specific audience. And a specific audience with this behavior of watching more content, especially when they're obsessed and they want to learn and just want to let it play. So it's all kind of fascinating to me hearing you guys go through the data. My biggest takeaway is the television is still open season for creators, and there's not enough people doing it So if you're doing it, you're seeing some pretty crazy numbers.
Yeah, let me show you the last set of numbers here, and then I'll move on to the next topic, because there's a lot in this report. We can continue going through it if people are interested. You'd also download the report yourself. I'll give you a link to where I got it from. But here is the last section where they talk about time and attention, and then later on they talk about mood, which I was alluding to earlier. And here is the ad completion rate for each of the platforms. Is the first thing you see over here. I'll zoom in on it for us. So on social media, you can see that the ad completion rate is 53%, right? So that means somebody's watching it and they're watching it all the way through. That even seems high to me, right? They're going all the way through. Search or display. So those are the ones that are on websites, the ones that you see when you're searching on Google and things like that. You may, I don't even know what it means to necessarily see a completion rate there, but I imagine there's some like level of dwell time that you're looking at it for that they count it towards. But they say on Paramount Connected TV, and this is maybe slightly misleading because I imagine that most of the time on Paramount, there's like no skip button or anything like that. But a 96% completion rate is pretty dang high. So you're pretty likely to have watched the whole ad if you're watching on a connected TV, which, you know, maybe would be different if you're seeing that on something like YouTube, which has a skip button. Now, the ad video duration is similar here, where they talk about connected TV overall being like 23 seconds, social media being 5 seconds. We see this all the time in marketing circles where there's lots of concern about the very short amount of time they have to get their message across. And guess what? Like Doc was talking about earlier, a longer ad, just like a longer video, will mean something that's more memorable for you, whether that be a jingle or not, Doc. Here is the thing that I found most interesting. They went through and they actually measured brain alertness through each of these platforms. And on social media, they gave it half of the score. And again, I don't know what the units are here. I'm not, I didn't look this deep into it, but they did seem pretty proud of the fact that CTV had a much higher rating of alertness, actually, when it came to people who were paying attention or not paying attention to these ads. And so CTV wins in that case as well. The very last thing that they measured here is that about 90% of people who were watching on connected TV were in a good mood, where only 75% of people who are on social media were in a good mood while they were watching. So this whole picture here, from ad completion rates, which of course CTV wins, ad video duration, brain alertness, and moods on platforms, kind of completes the picture, right? You're spending more time with these things. You're happier when you're watching. You're more likely to watch the whole thing. You're more likely to be paying attention. And therefore, we saw those numbers at the end. You get a higher return on investment, most likely. And then also you are more advertisers are spending on it, like connected TV.
I mean, I can explain this whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go top left first. If you can zoom in there. Why does Paramount have a much higher completion rate? 2 reasons.
Can't skip it.
Can't skip it. Or 2, if you can, you're too lazy to grab the remote, okay? So then let's go to the next one, okay? Ad video view duration, same thing, right? You can't skip it, so it just plays and you just watch it.
There's no TV ads at 30 seconds.
Further, 30 seconds. Want to know why I know this? It's because literally I watch TV right now with my wife, a show on Paramount, and it's 30 seconds long. It's like, I know that, like, I have to wait 30 seconds, and Judy and I just laying on the couch waiting for it. And it's funny, we're in a good mood because we're hanging out in the evening together, about to watch a show we actually want to watch.
Yes.
A long form show, okay? Go to the bottom left now.
Brain alertness.
Brain alertness. Again, because we want to be there to watch that show.
Yeah,
it's funny, I'm also probably drinking a beer and snacking. Like, I'm just in a good mood, which brings me to the last one, okay? And this one doesn't surprise me too, because what do we see on social media? Way more than we would ever see on anything we're picking on TV. Negativity, politics, geopolitics, or the news or whatever.
Oh, you're obviously not watching Severance then.
Oh yeah, I don't watch Severance at all, okay? But I mean, I don't know what we're trying to say here, but there is, again, a huge takeaway for creators. I would love to hear your thoughts. Doc?
I think you're right about that.
Yeah, let me say just one thing. If you're a creator, creating content for the television, you can benefit from the same expectation behavior and just like the regular, like, positive mood, because you're on the television, you're creating content for the television. You know, our number one obsession right now that we're about this close to making happen, 4K live streams. I'm using my Osmo and I love it, okay? How easy it is. Neutrally and I, now we got these Obsbots tails, right? Yeah, I'm gonna bring them to my kitchen, Doc, okay? Because I know, just like you ranted about the thumbnails not being high quality enough and looking like crap on the television, my live streams have to look as good as anything on Paramount, because when you buy a Sony TV, you just talked about whatever, you know, you used to be a salesman there and you used to, you know, like get the nicest, crispiest. So there you go. So, you know, like if someone pays money for the crispy, they don't want the soft, okay? They want it to look so good. So anyways, it's just interesting because if you're just listening to this, you're probably like, just like, why does this matter? Because honestly, I wasn't even like this when they started talking about this. But it's funny because we don't talk about what we're going to talk about on these shows. I don't know what Austin's going to.
You picked a math teacher as your co-host, dude.
Yeah. But this is why we work together, okay? I would say anything that I've been successful at in the last 2 years, it's been partly because he looks at the long-term strategy of it. Me, I'm just looking at the practicality and the reality of things, and we kind of meet in the middle. And what I'm trying to say here, when you look at this data, this is a whole new ecosystem that creators never got to play in because we didn't have the tools to be able to do it. We didn't even have the ability to be on the TV because the YouTube app wasn't good enough. Why do you think Instagram, Facebook, TikTok are creating TV apps? They're looking at this data, it's like, dang, we want a 30-second, you know, like ad viewing kind of thing. We want a better mood audience on there because, you know, this thing called brain rot is a real thing. So guess what? They don't just quit watching the ads, they quit the whole app itself. I've literally turned off all shorts on my YouTube.
Wow.
Like if I see one, I'm like out of there. The only time I want to is when I'm searching for something. I want it to be a super short video. By the way, short video. So that includes shorter videos.
Yeah.
It's got to be a short just because it's so good, okay? This to me, I don't know if you're listening to this and you're like thinking through the logic of all this, it'll make you want to quit being a short form creator and go all in on long form. And this is why we had Doc on the show, I'm guessing. This is their genius plan. Live streaming.
Yes.
Because live streaming at 4K or 8K one day will become the new TV. And when that happens, my gosh, because, you know, how long do people sit and watch sports for? 2 to 3 hours. How many ads do they watch? And then, you know, Doc started this whole thing with like, oh, I remember when Benji was on there putting ice cubes on a pizza, okay? If you want that kind of memorability, then you've got to be hanging out with the people longer, and you've got to have the type of content that can actually go the distance. And the solution is not 100 TikToks, sad to say.
Yeah. Doc, what do you think?
It's actually less work, bro. Less work for an audience that's actually connected. Those 100 TikToks, no shade on the TikTokers, game recognized game. You guys are busting gut. But Benny's going to have shorter numbers, but a 200 people that would actually purchase something. If Benji came out with the BT Spice or something, yo, people is lining up to buy it, right? If it's just the TikTok reels and like people like, I got my recipes from TikTok. And I'm like, man, I seen your recipes on TikTok, dog. And I am a damn good cook. I can't do the whole recipe in 2 minutes on TikTok. I need to go find the long form video where you get down and get down. So if you're using it as a funnel to bring you down to go to YouTube to go get the full video or to buy the cookbook or to buy the spice, that's dope. But just creating content for the sake of creating content, it kind of doesn't make sense. And I did want to push back on one thing that these guys said. And this drives me crazy. This is a pet peeve of mine right now. Two things. Everyone loves to talk about how short people's attention spans are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not true. It's you think it's short because we're doing short attention span things until we get to something that actually holds our attention. So we'll complain all week about short attention span, but I'm gonna sit down for 4 hours to watch Kenny Mack and how Lonnie run all over people, right? And Chardonnay, whatever the heck that boy name is, right? You know, we'll watch them run all over people, right? Stranger Things season 5 come through, yo, for 2 days straight. I'm on the purple couch, moving, locked in. Go back and watch it again with my niece. Like, we're there. So it's funny how people like to say that, but you ain't really short attention span because it depends on what you're doing. And the other thing that they also kind of, I won't say it's fabricated. This is their culture. I understand what they're trying to get at. Benji would tell you commercials in Japan, 10 seconds. I remember way more of those. They're funny, but they 10 seconds long. 15 is a long commercial in Japan. They're like, Hachimitsu. What the heck? The commercial's over. But you remember everything that went down in there, right? So it's weird that they're trying to say this, and I kind of get the flex. And again, regular Paramount Plus, $9 a month. Paramount Plus, like no ads, is $13 a month, right? Or $13.99. So it's, let's just say $4 more or $5 more. And my credit card waives it anyway. So I don't actually watch ads on Paramount except on the sports games where they force it on you because you have no choice. When the Celtics are playing on Paramount, you got to watch 2 minutes ad before the game come on. And you know what I'm doing? I'm mad at them because they're making me watch it because I paid them not to watch it. So it's funny, and this is something that comes up a lot in live streams. And Benji, you said this last week. I'm yelling at you from the house, and Karen is like, Benji, can't hear you, Doc. And I'm like, yeah. Benji said, oh, I think I'm going to set my live streams where I'm going to turn off the ads because people are saying they're seeing too much ads. And I'm saying to myself, no, please, no. You work your butt off. You create valuable content. It's well worth watching. And I understand that some people can't afford to pay for premium, but that's the price you pay for where you're at. When you're creating, you're going to want to be in the side where more people are watching ads so that you can get your money for the value that you put out. This is how business works. This is how life works. If we want our kids to go to a better school, we pay to go to school. If we don't want to pay to go to school, we send the kids to regular school, right? If you want to get the better ingredients, you're going to go buy the better ingredients. If you want good, high value, quality content, you either pay the $2.99 for YouTube Premium as a student, or the $14 for YouTube Premium as a person, or the $24 as a family, which by the way gets you 6 people to watch them videos, or you got to watch ads. We can't create for free, bro. It's a lot. I got $2,000 worth of crap in this studio. 20 if I add the stuff that I don't use no more. I need to get paid. I'm sorry. Watch my commercials. If you don't, then don't watch my stuff. I'm sorry. I'm not that pressed, but I really get mad when people think creators should just do everything for free while they will watch TV. Or, let's just say Benji and Matt get together, they come out with some spices. Somebody gonna be in the chat like, oh, this is a money grab while they're wearing a Supreme t-shirt. I'm like, dog. Really? I will pay these guys for a shirt that they stole the logo from some other lady. I forgot her name right now. But you'll pay, $400 for that crappy t-shirt, which is no better than the Hanes Beefy tee. But you'll be mad that my boys that tried to make a spice so that they can earn some money so they can feed my nieces. No, not acceptable. And I don't know why we as humans do that. We'll pay the higher end person with no problem and like almost sycophantically, but then when somebody that's at your level tries to get paid, you got something to say about it. I really don't understand that.
So are you pushing back on my comment I made previously about lowering my ads? Is that what you're pushing back on? Okay, so
100%, bro. So, you deserve to run those ads because you work your butt off. And more than anybody else right now, you're on the tube 4 or 5 days a week. I think you should let them ads be. And if people want to see it with no ads, they either gotta go to a Patreon or somewhere else where you offer it as ad free, or they got to pay the YouTube Premium.
So I'll say a few things to that. Number one, I always take it with a grain of salt, whatever I read in the comments. Okay. Because that was like maybe 3 or 4 comments, and everybody has to remember it's 3 or 4 comments of literally tens of thousands of views, if not 100,000 views, right? Like, it's like to literally like listen to 3 or 4 people, whatever, even if that percentage is higher than the views because, you got maybe 200 comments. But the second thing I would say is it is actually something smart to consider if it lowers your views. Because if somebody had the choice to watch a cooking show and they knew this other one, for whatever reason, had less ads. Because as far as I know, there are abilities to control how many ads, right? You can
Still, for now.
Yeah, exactly.
You can turn it off, and then you can start to place them.
So totally. And I didn't know that my editor, when he was uploading, he was just going complete AI, automated, and him and I.
Fault. It's actually not easy to go in and play.
Exactly, right?
YouTube wants to do it.
And I knew that.
Yeah.
So I thinking, you know what? I haven't done it, by the way, Doc. I haven't lowered the amount of ads because I agree with you. I should get paid. I mean, this is the behavior, right? We watch TV for our whole lives and watch all these ads and whatever, even if we complain. You know, everyone complains, oh my gosh, just when are these commercials going to end? But the third thing is really important. YouTube has always been good about knowing when they've stepped on the gas too much. And I trusted YouTube to know this. And this is why the AI tool, it was the fact that I didn't see comments literally for years. I have an echo. Literally for years. So when I started seeing them in my uploads, I was like, oh, people are getting annoyed, right? And that's like, what is that? Like creator principles 101. Don't bug your viewers, right? Like, don't do something that like agitates them. Like, hey, if I'm getting ready to watch and I'll just say the show, it's Marshall, right? It's like a break off of Yellowstone. And right now we're not really enjoying it that much, unfortunately, but we enjoy watching it still together. If they started like shooting up into space because it's a cowboy movie, right? And then they started doing Star Trek stuff, like my wife ain't having that. That's like a form of annoying the viewer, right? From their expectations. So that's only the reason. No, I agree with you. I'm keeping it on right now, but yeah, it would only make me want to stop if I really felt like the experience of watching so many ads was so bad that I would go somewhere else to do it, because I've been doing this long enough to know that does happen, right? Think about that. If like a good example would be Paramount, right? It's a streaming platform. I don't even see any ads. I don't know if it's because we pay something, but say like on the flip side, HBO, very similar types of content in terms of like the value proposition. But if I got like 15 ads through a show, and I've seen this happen with different platforms, I'm cutting it off.
Yeah.
If I pay money to watch content, I don't want no ads. So we sign up for the ones with no ads. So that's a good example of like, say we're paying the same price, but one I see way more ads, this one I see less ads. Even if there's the same type of content, I'm picking the one with less ads. That is a tell as old as time. That's why I said that, because ultimately I want to retain my viewers. I don't want to kick them out or push them away.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I agree with the both of you, right? When I upload my videos, one of the things I've been doing is, if I can, I build in breaks to my videos that are like ad breaks. So I'll actually build in something like a cliffhanger, like you might see on old TV. And to me, that makes the ad sometimes more palatable, in the sense that like I'm setting it up, they're used to it, they're used to that format, and then they get to the cliffhanger and then it cuts, right? If you're someone who pays for YouTube Premium, then what do? You just roll into the next scene, and that's great, right? But if you're not, then you sit there and you sit through your little ad break. Maybe you get something to skip. If I was doing a brand deal, I would probably also place it there, right? But that's one way too that you can kind of smooth things over, is by like not letting YouTube place them at moments that are interrupting something, and rather like intentionally crafting something to like make those ads a little bit more palatable.
It's so hard to beat that algorithm or that AI though.
Well, it is in terms of the explicit return on investment for an individual video, which is where I ultimately land, which is that like YouTube, I trust YouTube to make good decisions for me. And like, it shouldn't be you brought this up last week, that YouTube says that their goal is to make it super easy as a creator to just upload your content, and if it's good content, it'll reach the right people, right? That was their number1 goal. Same goes for ads, right? You should be able to upload your content. You shouldn't have to be an expert in order to understand where those ads go, because YouTube should be the expert in that scenario, right? And so that's where I end up landing.
I think it's paramount on some of the larger creators who are sort of setting the tone as well, to kind of like tune the conversation, like let people understand that this is a business and we are all working. You know, when people say, oh, you just said that because the brand is paying you. No, they actually don't, because there's rules to that. But second of all, the brand pays me because they respect my opinion. The next brand won't pay me if I ruin my opinion by saying something that I don't really believe. And we have all seen creators that get sold out and get caught and they never recover from it. So it's not even worth doing, right? And then so many people, you know, reading threads or whatever, and they're like, well, the brand is doing this because they're just trying to make money. And I was like, yo, I got a business degree, one in English and one in Japanese. And the first thing I learned day one, business is to make money. It's really weird to say that in the way that they say it. Yes, there is such thing as a cash grab, but all businesses are trying to be profitable. And I think people need to be reminded of that. The most lazy one this week that's driving me insane is, you know, tomorrow's releasing the AirPods Max 2 and they're $549. And everyone is saying, how can Apple release a computer that's, you know, $499 for the education price and then release a pair of headphones that are $549? Well, here's why. This is the bottom of the line computer. They sell a $12,000 computer. This is the top of the line headphone. They sell a $99 pair of headphones. You are comparing the Ferrari version of headphones with the Yugo version of computers.
Oh, I thought he was talking about AirPods. I was like, wow.
Yes, it was called AirPods Max 2, right? That's
Right.
the official title. But it's so crazy. And here's the other part that's so lazy about this journalism that's going down. The last model, $549. And the model prior to that, $549. And before Apple bought its Beat, the top of the line's Beats, $549. Nothing's actually changed, dog. Like not a drip of it has changed. The price is the exact same price it's been for going on 15 years. But they're making like Apple is murdering somebody because they're making the jewelry piece for a price and they just released a really cheap computer. Not let them win for releasing this really amazing price computer, bro. $499 for a Mac is psycho. I come from Macs being $5,000. So $499 is amazing. They're not letting them win that. They immediately go back to try to fight Apple because they decided to make a headphone the same price as the one prior. I'm like, that is causing people to feel the way they feel about ads and commercialism and things like that because people are making false fights because it gets clicks and it gets views.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Doc, I want to go back to something you said before, too, about the short attention span. My philosophy on that is that it's not actually about the attention span. It's more about the fact that there's more things that are competing for your attention, period, right? And so if something else is distracting you and grabbing your attention, well, of course, your attention span will be shorter, right? Because you are having something else that's competing for your attention, right? And I think that is a good transition because today we've just talked a ton about the creator economy, right? The first of the three things that are on Benji's paper up in the studio here. But when are we going to get to creators? And I think that talking about short form versus long form is really one of the reasons why we brought you on this show, Doc. And that's why I want to welcome everybody to the Film Room, which is the director's commentary for our creator projects on this show. So this week, I wanted to highlight an experiment that we've been running for the last 4 months on Benji Man TV, Benji's cooking, food, and family channel. Now, let me back up a bit. Usually, if you can bring up the slides. For almost 2 decades, Benji has been vlogging with his wife, Judy, on It's Judy's Life, which is a massively successful channel. 2 million subs, 1.25 billion views, 4.5K videos that she's uploaded and edited all on her own. Actually, I think that there's like 2 maybe on there. How many has she?
Oh no, she's probably not edited about like 30 to 40 of those videos. So yeah, so she still gets credit for 4,500.
Suffice to say, Benji has a solid amount of experience, let's just say, on YouTube, and in particular with vlogging. Now, at the same time, Benji has his Benji Man TV food channel. And actually, that's how we met. So, Doc, I don't know if you know this story, but at the time, Benji was publishing recipe videos that were highly edited, highly produced, and he was looking for an editor. So I contacted him, and he brought me on as a videographer and editor for those videos in particular. And over time, Benji, unfortunately, had to take a step back from that channel. It became less and less of his focus. And I had left to teach in New York. Benji had mostly moved on from the channel. But about 2 years ago, Benji and I ended up reconnecting. And he told me that he was working on a curriculum for a course and that he observed a new way of vlogging that had codified it into 3 simple T's: theme, topic and takeaway, and telling stories. Now, of course, the first thing that we did was test it out on Benjamin TV itself, right? We wanted to test it out on a channel. And what we quickly found was that it was an incredibly easy way to get started on YouTube. You can see here that his views literally skyrocketed after he started uploading using this new vlogging method on his channel. And so in short, Benjamin TV went from a dead channel to more views, more content, more AdSense than ever before. Now, this kernel of an idea would eventually become Vlogging Academy, our course and the first ever vlogging system designed for the new era of YouTube. You can learn more at vloggingacademy.com, by the way, if you're interested. But I bring this up because for the last 2 years, Benji's strategy has been to vlog on Benjamin TV using the new vlogging method, as you saw in those statistics. Now, these are low production, long-form videos that are designed to take advantage of a bunch of changes that we've seen on the platform that we call YouTube. And it's, I would say, been massively successful. I think that that's fair to say, right, Benji? Like you've...
I think so, for sure, yeah.
Okay, but in the last year, something started to change. Every year, YouTube puts on a product launch called Made on YouTube. And last year's happened in mid-September, and I would say it had 4 pillars if I had to lay them out. The first one was AI and Shorts creation tools. The second was new monetization tools. The third was YouTube Studio updates. And the fourth was a huge YouTube Live update. I think that this fourth one is really what perked my ears up at the time, because here are some of the features that they announced. I'm just gonna go through them. Practice before going live, which is a private mode that lets creators test their setup and experiment with tools before broadcasting publicly. Streaming across formats. Creators are going to be able to broadcast in horizontal and vertical simultaneously with a single unified chat room, which is something that we've talked a lot about on this show. React Live. Anyone can start a vertical live stream on mobile, react to other live events from other creators who are currently streaming, turning any stream into a shared event. AI-powered highlights, side-by-side ads, public to members only transitions. In fact, YouTube framed this set of updates as their biggest ever, and I would say that I mostly agreed. Because to me, at the time, it was clear that YouTube chose 2026 as the year to take live seriously again. So it got me thinking when they started doing this, that we should follow YouTube's lead and start taking live seriously too. Now, at the top of the show, Doc, if you'll recall, we have talked about the half birthday of the Creator Secrets podcast. And many people may not know, but we do this show live every week. For those of you who do know, thank you for being in the chat and being with us live every week. The reason is because of the promise that some of these updates showed. Like, bottom line, we were excited about these updates, right? So half a month after Made on YouTube, we ran our first episode of the Creator Secrets podcast on September 30th. Here it is right there. You can see it. It says 5 months ago because it's technically like another week before it's like fully there, but this is the half year mark. Now, Doc, I don't know if you know this, but literally like less than 2 weeks later, we were visiting Pat Flynn's card party. This is Benji up there on stage with his daughter and Pat Flynn, and who's not in the picture, Doc Rock over there in the corner, who's giving Benji his props and who's Benji's giving you your props. And of course, Card Party is this event that's inspired by Pat's Pocket Monsters channels. And of course, like I'm alluding to here, that's where we met Doc. Now, Doc, tell me, what were you doing there at Card Party?
I was producing a live stream because Pat doesn't want people who can't make it not to be a part of what's there. And I can tell you right now, their watch time and their engagement rate over a 2-day event is freaking phenomenal. And I was just glad that they asked me to come and produce that because, you know, Pat is an awesome Ecamm fam member. Like, he's one of the OGs. Actually, he got me download the trial from watching his SPI streams, and then I ended up working there. So I owe a nod to PF Flyer for that. Yeah. I was recovering in the hospital. I was watching people. I told you, I'm watching Benji and Sean on Video Insiders. And then I was watching, oh my God, Owen Video and my friend Diana Gladney, and then Pat. And then Pat was talking about Ecamm. And so I downloaded Ecamm, and then next thing you know, I ended up working there.
Well, I love that story. And on our side, long story long here, we were inspired by what you were doing at Card Party, and we were inspired by YouTube's commitment to live streaming. It was just all the arrows pointing in the right direction, and we started cooking up a new idea. On Benjamin TV, we have a couple of vlog formats, because remember, Benji was vlogging the new way at this time, that we're using the new vlogging method. So for example, one of the things that shows up often on Benji's channel is that sometimes he does shopping vlogs where he's going to Costco and he's picking up giant Kikkoman soy sauce there, right? And you can see that he's...
That's a lot of sauce, B.
Other times, he might do something like a cooking vlog. Same style, same 3 T's, but in this case, he's putting together a recipe. Not like recipe videos, like the way that I was editing for him, but like he's putting together and you're watching almost in real time, not quite real time, but in closer to real time, the entire process of going through and actually cooking one of his recipes. And so here's what we did. Because of all that inspiration that we were just talking about, we challenged ourselves to take one of Benji's formats and turn it into a live show. And as you see here, come December, we had cobbled together, with your help, Doc, just gear that we had laying around, like literally. Benji's vlog cameras, an existing computer we had, Ecamm Live, which was the one new addition to the setup here. And we ran an entire cooking show from Benji's kitchen using minimal gear and minimal setup with the goal of making this event a weekly occurrence, as we brought up early in the show, that idea of consistency. Now, the first show went great. This is what it looked like. But I will say that there was a lot to learn, and this is where I'm going to get to turn it to you guys. Because actually the first thing was a little bit, I'm just going to be straight up, it was actually a little bit of concern, right? If you look at the comparison between these view counts, right, there was one video that was getting 8,000 views. Obviously, I've chosen one here to highlight the extremity of it. Benji's videos were not all getting 500,000 views, but his were getting like 30, 40,000 views per upload at the time. We had entered what we call phase 3 of the new vlogging method. But here was the question that came up. Was it what is the behavior when it relates to a live stream versus regular content on YouTube? And was it an issue with the way that we were live streaming? Is it an issue with YouTube live streaming? Should he have been doing this on Twitch, or should he just quit live altogether? Now, here's the data. The first thing I'm showing you here is I'm going to show you a series of videos that are all published around the same amount of time. I apologize that it's kind of slow there, but you can small there, but you can see there that it levels out at about 18,000 views at the end of the day. This is a Costco shopping vlog from Benji, right? 18,000 views. Again, all these videos that I'm about to show you are published about the same time. The second one here is a cooking vlog. This one only got about 5,000 views, which, if you'll remember, is pretty similar to the third video I'm going to show you, which is a cooking live, which also got about between 4,000 and 5,000 views. And so the first answer, the first conclusion that we can come away with in terms of this, and in terms of our answer to the question, is content is king. The reason that that first stream got fewer views wasn't because the stream itself had any failures. It's because we had built around the format on Benji's channel that was getting less views overall. And so, Benji, first I want to open this floor up to you. When you see that data, what is your reaction when you see that? Because obviously you know that there's other things that are coming because this has changed recently, but I'm curious, looking back, what do you think about that?
Oh yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why I was not even doing cooking vlogs is because the ROI wasn't there, right? I mean, going back to what Doc said, I'm a really busy guy. I've got 5 daughters. I teach Taekwondo. Some of them are in the program. I'm vlogging on It's Shooty's Life. I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff, right? Vertical one. And so for me, I think that naturally, I'm just thinking, I'm thinking about, hey, if I'm going to pick and choose what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure when I'm putting up content vlogs onto my food vlog channel, I'm going to put up the ones that get the most views.
Yeah.
Now, I still like doing the cooking vlogs, right? But I also like going shopping at Costco, like going shopping at the grocery store. So I just started doing more and more of those, and I never got to the cooking vlogs.
Yes.
So when I see this data, I mean, I kind of knew it would be like that. Also, I was like, you know, if I was going to experiment with a new format, do it with one where like there's not a lot at stake. Because what does everybody say? I should be doing a live Costco shopping. And I've yet to do it. Well, I want to do it, right? And I'm trying to figure out how do I get my Osmos fired up with Ecamm, right? I don't know how that would work, but yeah, that it just confirms what I was thinking, you know. And even though I'm doing my live streams similar to my vlog style, I'm kind of resetting the journey.
Yes.
I'm back to what I call phase one, right? Volume. Do it a lot. In fact, we're doing two a week, which for live streams it's a lot because we were doing like 2 every 6 months for like years.
Yes.
And so I'm in phase one, everybody, if you're one of my students. So I'm showing you, I'm putting in the reps to get ready for this scene to be built. And guess what? It's happening.
Yeah, and there's two things there, right? The first one is what I talked about earlier in that story, which is the driving force behind this was A, that we saw what Doc was doing and we saw what YouTube was talking about, and we have the faith that this area of YouTube is something that's growing in 2026. And so we're starting early. We know it's going to be small at the beginning, but it's going to grow over time, right? Which again, we'll talk about here in a second. The second thing is that talking about those two pillars, right? One that doesn't get quite as many views on average, but is still something that you care about. There's room for that in the new vlogging method because of the theme of your channel, right? Because it's not a niche that you're focused on. You're not the Costco guy, even though some people might watch you for your Costco videos. You are someone who shops because it's related to food, which is the overall theme of your channel. So it opens up the room for you to do what you want. And in this case, do the lives. Now, Doc, I'm going to give you your chance to respond, but I want to get through this next piece because I think you're going to like some of this information. And this is some of the most fascinating stuff as it relates to YouTube analytics that I've seen in my entire time working with you, Benji. So if we can bring up the slides one more time. The second question that we had was, does streaming to other platforms adversely affect streaming on YouTube? The reason we asked this is because of what we talked about at the beginning of the show. Doc, as you know, we can multi-stream when we use Ecamm, right? We can stream to Facebook while we're streaming to Instagram, while we're streaming to YouTube, while we're streaming to YouTube Shorts, right? And with dual mode, we can even make bespoke versions for both the horizontal and vertical viewers on each of those platforms, which is just incredible, right? But the question was, for Benji, he treats YouTube as his home base. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah, you treat YouTube as your home base. And if we're streaming on Facebook, would that mean that those people would not come over to YouTube, that it would actually depress the number of views that he was seeing on that channel? So let's take a look at his data. Here you see that YouTube analytics from that December start date that we talked about, right after we were inspired by Doc, to right up until the last couple of weeks. And right here you'll see, oh, this was the question, sorry. Oh, I think I went back, sorry guys. Let me move forward here. So here is that data again. And you can see that it goes right up until the last couple of weeks, which is when Benji started doing his dual streams. That's when he starts multi-streaming. I've hidden the data there. Now, before I give you guys the answer here, I want to have a little bit of suspense. Doc, do you have an instinct about what the answer is here? Now, again, this is not across all platforms. This is just on YouTube. Will he see a depression in the number of his views here?
No. I'm over here trying not to yell out the answers like in the movie. The killer is behind you. But no, if anything, I like to think of that song by the Bloodhound Gang. These other channels are like your discovery channels. It makes people like, hey, I kind of like this. Let me go dig deeper because people are nosy, right? And then you start to go look and be like, oh, wait, they're on YouTube and I can see the whole thing and I can conversate with the gang and people is there. And now I'm making friends with Carter, you know, things like that. So yeah, in the reality is, you might see a dip at the beginning, but in the long run, it definitely becomes bigger.
Benji, I'm curious if you have a reaction or a guess.
I'm assuming it goes up. By the way, I haven't even seen this data. When I'm in,
No, Austin is good at this.
when I'm at the beginning phase, I do not even care to really look. I look at the initial numbers of each video and I judge it based off of the performance I'm doing, really my performance, and secondly, Nuccioli's performance. Like, right, hey, are we doing everything we can to put on a strong stream? He knows it, like, it's for real, right? Like, that's how you get better.
Well, okay, ready
So
for reveal?
I don't know. Like, I have no idea what to expect. I imagine it's gonna be more, but I don't think it's gonna be less.
Here's the answer. The answer is no, it did not depress the numbers at all. It stayed exactly the same. Now, we've only done a couple, so take it with a small grain of salt here, but it seems to have stayed the same. Now, here's what this picture doesn't tell, so neutrally you can take it away because it will distract from the broader point I'm trying to make. This does not count all of the streams that Benji was getting on Facebook and was getting on Reels and was getting on Shorts, which is a lot. It literally, like you were saying at the beginning of the show, can triple your views.
Quadruple or quadruple in cases. I mean, like ridiculous numbers now.
So when I look at that, that is what I see, which is that it is a boost overall in terms of the reach of his content. And as Doc was saying, the wisdom, again, nobody knew this beforehand. It is a discovery engine, if not a place to actually hold your viewers.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was worried because let me just go back and kind of like simplify what was going on here while Neutrally does his little vertical shimmy thing, whatever it is. Okay. Okay. So I was worried that if I don't promote on Instagram my YouTube live stream, that they would stay on Instagram and they wouldn't watch on YouTube. But I was like, you know what? They're already on. This is best practice, by the way, of just social media. You want to keep the people where they're already at.
Yeah, you want to meet.
It's almost an impossible task, but you know, sometimes it's nice to like tell them, hey, this is what I'm doing. So next time you're on YouTube, go watch me. I didn't realize that it wouldn't affect my YouTube. In fact, I look at it two different ways. Number one, it tells them I'm doing this on YouTube and gives them like a taste of it. So I know this because my AVD on Facebook or Instagram can be like 1 to 2 minutes. Nothing to write home about or like, you know, I'm not winning an award or whatever. But now they know I do this on YouTube, and I've been very purposeful of doing it on the exact same day around the exact same time to start building this habit and this behavior. But there's a second thing. This one's a little bit above my pay grade, but maybe Doc, you could tell me. I had a hunch that these creepy crawlers, what do you call it when they're like tracking what you're watching, like the like, you know, like
Facebook Pixel or
yeah, pixels or whatever. Okay.
There you go. Web crawler.
Yeah. Web crawlers. Not everybody has them turned on, especially because thanks to Apple, I can turn them off. But still, I still think there's other web crawlers happening where they know, YouTube knows you're watching that over there. And what's crazy, it's the exact same content that's on YouTube. So there's a good chance it could suggest this content to them when they go onto YouTube. Maybe not that exact stream, but next time they're on YouTube, if I by chance happen to be on there. And then remember, I still have viewers that watch my vlogs. I've been creating these kind of similar to like how it would be edited.
Yeah.
And this is where Ecamm comes in because we have two Osmos, different angles. This whole live stream you've been seeing on the vertical, like all kinds of messiness going on. We're still trying to figure it out. But when you watch my live stream cooking sessions, it looks like I have 10 different cameras, or it looks like it's edited. I've gotten comments from people saying, this is not live. This is totally pre-edited, and it's not pre-edited. Even though I'm literally answering questions from the chat, they still question it. My point is this. Overall, I'm still at the beginning of this, but I can see this trajectory. If you just put all my views and even the average view duration, all that into like a big one, like, you know, a data sheet report and set aside the platforms, it's like I live 4x my performance. And I literally am from a view count, but we don't know what next week's going to be like and the week afterwards. And we've been having some hits. It's crazy. So
yeah, we have been having some hits, but I want to answer the initial question before we get to that, which is, if we go back to the slides, does streaming to other platforms adversely affect YouTube? The initial conclusion, no, an emphatic no. We should have just asked Doc.
I was trying so hard not to scream out the answer.
It's like Dora the Explorer over here. The second thing I wanted to show you is the idea of the multi-streaming experiment, because yes, we're streaming to these other platforms, but we did this thing most recently where instead of unifying our YouTube streams into a vertical and horizontal combined, we started using Ecamm's dual mode in order to stream in two different places at once, both on YouTube. And so I want to just quickly show you, again, the question being, does streaming to other platforms adversely affect YouTube? I want to quickly show you what it's like to do this stream, right? So the first thing is that you can have your computer here. And when you're streaming using your computer, it sends it to just YouTube. That's like the old days. That's what we would do all the time, right? Now, most recently, the interesting thing that we would do is that we would take this stream, which is a horizontal stream, right? And we would send it out to both YouTube and YouTube vertical. So it's one stream going to both places. YouTube would just crop into the center there, right? Now, even more recently, what we've been able to do is actually, because of Ecamm and Ecamm's dual mode, we've been able to make bespoke versions of the feed using the same video cameras, using the same producer, sending each of these to their own platform. So anything that's vertical is going here, anything that's horizontal is going here, just like that. But it gets better than that, because what we've been able to do is that if you imagine Facebook might have something over here, right? And so you would want to start streaming horizontally over to Facebook as well. And like I said, you also might have something like Instagram. I'm not going to change the color here. And you might want to stream horizontally or vertically, depending on which one you want to send over there to Instagram. And so Benji, you can imagine how this starts looking to like it's like quadrupling his numbers, right? Now it was, like I said, we were concerned about moving away from YouTube itself, right, in terms of having a split attention. But we were even more worried about sending two streams to YouTube as well. And so, I don't know why it keeps doing it this way. Sorry, guys. This is an example of, was this the first one that you guys did, a dual mode?
I think so. This was a dual mode where it was going to its own vertical feed, and then the horizontal was going to its own horizontal feed on YouTube.
Yeah. And so,
because by the way, before, if it went vertical on YouTube, it was going to the shorts feed, but it wasn't like counting extra views there at all. It's like, it just like disappeared into the vastness of YouTube's like back library.
My thought is that actually when it was going there before, that we were not getting, like, it was not treating it as its own video that was getting reach. And so here's what we saw.
No, it was treating it as a duplicate because they don't want to give you credit for the same content twice the way they did it. And we was like, nah, that's not how it's going to work. So we did it our different way. Don't tell
exactly. Let me show you what the watch behavior was, because it was awesome that Benji got multiple views for doing one stream, like multiplied his views. But what about the behavior of the viewers on each of these platforms? So I'm going to show you two columns, right? One is going to be one set of viewers who are watching the vertical content. One's going to be one set of viewers who are watching the horizontal content. The first one you see here is a graph that shows you the number of new viewers versus casual viewers, right? So for new viewers here, you can see that they made up almost 90% of the people who are watching this form of content. This is like Jeopardy, at this point. Here's the other side of things. This, on the other side, you see that new viewers only made up 10% of the content over here, and that regular viewers, people who often watch Benji's channel, made up 70% of the viewers. Okay, Doc, another quiz for you. Which one do you think is horizontal? Which one do you think is vertical on YouTube?
Well, of course, normally you get your new viewers from the vertical content. However, it also works for your regular viewers because when they open their phone and you're live, right now, the way the system is set up, you're more likely to find out somebody is live on the vertical because it's going to feed you that first instead of guessing what you might want to see. Because those, if you're not a heavy shorts watcher, you don't know that this stuff is live. So a lot of times when you open your feed, the second or third live is somebody you actually know is live.
Okay, I'm not going to reveal quite yet. I'm going to add the second piece of data here, which is the device time. Here, on the one on the left, remember all the ones on the left are from the same stream. You can see that 50% of the people who watched here were on mobile. They were on their phones, while only 20% of them were on their TV, and then it goes really far down from there. On the other side, you see that almost 45% of people are watching on the TV. There's still a good solid 33%, a third of people who are watching on mobile. And then again, it goes down from there. Now, again, I'm going to draw the line down the middle. One is one and one is the other. Doc, do you change your answer? Yeah, what do you think?
100%. It's obvious. No, it's the right side is the one underneath Benji is the horizontal side because TV is just gangster right now.
Okay, here's the reveal. Vertical, right there. Horizontal, right there. And so this is what it looks like when you're streaming to multiple platforms. Not only are you getting more views than you were before, but you're getting different behavior, A, of the type of people who are coming to watch your content, and B, the type of devices that they're using to watch your content, which, as we talked about with Paramount, totally changes the engagement behavior with the content that you have. Benji, when you see these numbers, I know you've seen them before, but I'm curious about your initial reactions to them presented in this way.
Yeah, even me, I tend to not put a lot of weight on data in this phase one, even though I've been doing this for so long. You think like, yeah, you want to be data. What does Colin Powell say? We want to be data dependent, right? This like inside joke for Ecamm. I'm like, sorry guys, but I was shocked by them. That they're all over the place. Like completely different. Now, I know that people that watch vertical would be different than horizontal, but are you going to reveal the age thing?
Yes, I will.
Okay, so hold on to your britches, you guys. Okay?
Let's go ahead and move along.
Okay, I'll just say this. I'm shocked. I am shocked. And I love live streaming. I love dual streaming, and I genuinely love Ecamm and Neutrally and what I'm able to do. Okay, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit.
Before we get to the age thing, I wanted to show one more piece of information. Here you see a screenshot where Benji was screenshotting his YouTube studio about 12 hours after he had finished a live stream. The reason he did it at this point is because it takes a little while for the horizontal to actually get uploaded to YouTube. So this is just right after both of them have been published. So this is like almost immediately after the live stream. And you can see here that for the shorts video, and sorry, I should make this red so it's easier to see. For the shorts video here, he got 6K views, right? For the shorts video, he got 6K views. For the horizontal video, the classic YouTube live video, he only got 1.6K views. And so YouTube Shorts, as Doc was talking about, was his discoverability mechanism. He's like, you reaching way more people than he would otherwise. Now, take a look at this. Here you can see, just like before, that there's a difference between one of these formats and the other formats when it comes to average view duration. In one of them, you can see that he's got a 2-minute average view duration. In the other, you can see he's got a 12-minute average view duration. Benji, I know you know the answer to this, but tell us about which one is which and why.
Well, 2 minutes is for the vertical one. And it's always like that because going back to the beginning, when we talk about what is the expectation from the viewer and what is the typical behavior on not just the device, but the format, while on vertical, because of the swipe through, it's going to be a legit shorter attention span, not because they have a shorter attention span, they just want the quick hit, okay?
The distraction is closer.
And then the one on the right, the horizontal AVD, audience view duration, is way longer, like crazy amount longer. This is just 12 hours afterwards, right? Okay? Because when you're watching not only a horizontal piece of content, but especially the TV, because if you look at the data before this, it was majority TV. You're sitting, we call them couch viewers, chore viewers, or even commuter viewers. Believe it or not, people watch or listen to YouTube. If you drive a Tesla, you're maybe watching, okay? But they're like sit there and watch. If you're in Honolulu, you're gonna commute for an hour getting into town, okay? That's just how it is. My point is this. The right is horizontal because you expect to watch something longer, and I'm providing a longer piece of content. The left one, even though it is a longer live stream, it's vertical where people are tend to watch for less time because that's what they're there for. They're watching it in between class or maybe literally like in between conversations. Maybe you're on the, toilet and you're just like, I need to get a quick hit of a little bit of YouTube content,
So I want to expand this out because Benji explained it very well. Here is 24 hours. So if the first one was 12 hours, here's 24 hours.
You should make sure to mention the views for people that can't see it.
Yes, I'm just about to draw it out here. So remember, this is our 12-hour block. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do yellow because I think it's going to be easier to see. This is our 12-hour block. This is our 24-hour block. Now remember, here for the horizontal viewing thing, it was 1.6K views, right? For the vertical, it was 6K views. Okay, let's look at the 24-hour ones. After the fact, for the horizontal, it was 2.6K views. So it got an additional 1,000 views after another 12 hours throughout that day, right? What about on the vertical though? On the vertical here, you can see that it got up to 6.2K views. It was growing, but it really only got 200 more views. So the YouTube vertical one, because remember, it's not short enough to be in the Shorts tab in this case. It's going to just the regular old YouTube upload tab. It's not getting as many views as it was as the other one was before. So the first takeaway here that you should see is that the horizontal viewport, when you're watching these lives after the fact, is the one that has tended to grow for Benji over time. And the one that has gone vertical is not as useful to him in his back catalog in this state of YouTube. Doc, do you have any reactions to that?
A couple of. First of all, a couple of things I like to always make sure that I hammer home for creators. I'm in the marketing school. I have a marketing degree. Again, one in English, one in Japanese. And what people buy, I hate to use this terminology, but it's the easiest way to understand. People buy people. They don't buy products. They buy people. In other words, you relate to the people that you relate to because they actually like you. The products that you bought, we have no relation to the brand. No, even if that person is, say, Tim Cook or Johnny Ives or somebody that you haven't even met, a parasocial person, you still have a relationship to the brand. And so you choose this particular brand because it is what it is, right? People buy Zatarans because they like the dude's face on the thing. To get to that point, and when I was in B school, it was you need 7 points, touch points, what they call it. You need 7 touch points before someone makes a conversion. The modern version of that is 11 to 13. So if I'm watching somebody on a short form content, I am getting 7 to 15 seconds of touch time, FaceTime, me time, however you want to call it. When you're watching content on YouTube, the way Benji is telling you to do it, you're getting on average anywhere from 3 to 11 minutes of touch time. I know this person better, okay? Now, we got to spend some time in Seattle, about 20 minutes. I'm watching Benji and my niece over there playing cards with Pat. Then he came down, we hug it out. Benji, I'll catch up with you. And then, listen, this is funny. I've talked to many creators at his level doing what I do, being in the show circuit. Oh, yeah, we'll get in contact, whatever. To my surprise, I get a DM. Hey, dude, it was good meeting you. Thank you. I can't believe what you did for me. If you need anything, holla at me. I called Mary Lou, my partner, got, oh my God, girl, oh my God. Fitch texted me. He asked me to the prom. I was like, oh my goodness, we're going to be friends. We're going to be friends. And I was like, I can't believe it, right? And so I want to say something that means the absolute world to me. I have spent over the last 4 years working at Ecamm, almost 5. And I've spent many a times on Zoom calls or at a conference doing a quick meeting type, shoot a video with Pat, but I hadn't spent time with Pat. He came to Hawaii a couple of months ago and we went out to dinner. And after that conversation, Pat sent a message to my boss that will bring tears to my eyes. He goes, I know who Doc is. I see all his content, whatever. I know what the dude is on the internet, but actually spending some quality time with that dude is way different. He's an absolute gem. He gassed me up big time. And when one of that know, like, and trust, you cannot get in short form content. And nephew Austin, you cannot get with your always scripted content, you schoolboy. You have to let people know you. And even in the time that Benji took Matt off of my TikTok and IG and put him in the kitchen for an hour, I was like, Matt was always handsome and a good cook. But Matt is like family. I could kick it with him. I know we're going to hit it off, right? I talked to Nucci for a couple of minutes. Like, I know we're going to hit it off. And I'm not even trying to guess. A week from now, we did this 2 weeks later, our conversation is completely different. Because y'all going to be stuck with me for 3-4 days, right? And I already call you Nephew Austin. It's a Korean thing, but it's going to be even tighter. And so people, if you want to make meaningful impact, if you want to grow your business and grow your audience because you're positively impacting the lives of people, your live streaming is the way it is. Your other content will be a massive pillar. But that insurance, that foundational aspect that make people ride with you, love with you, and build community comes from live streaming. And this is why it's so clutch. And not enough creators get it because I understand the vulnerability is scary and too many people want their content to be perfect. And right now, nobody wants to see perfect content because all of our heroes, we all been sold. They're not who we thought they were.
Mm.
And so the advantage of live streaming is you get to actually know these folks. You know what I'm saying? So I can tell the way Benji's always checking on his girls. Are you guys hungry? Do you need something? Like, that just reminds me of my family growing up. You know what I mean? So we've probably spent maybe 30 minutes in Meet Space together and maybe another 2 or 3 hours on Zoom Space together. But he's already like a part of our inner crew because of what you see him do at home and, you know, on the streams and, you know, watching you and Neutrally produce the shows and things like that. It's hard to explain. Like, I feel like I'm talking like, you know, astrophysicist people, not those, the other ones, the Virgo, Gemini, and Moon retrograde, astronomy people. Nah, I said it again. Astrology. Thank you. Nucci, you're supposed to help, bro. Yeah, it's different, bro. It's different. And I cannot say this enough. Even if I didn't work at Ecamm, I'm telling you, fam, you want to be live streaming if you really want to grow this because people need to know the real people. And I've watched the regular vloggers come up versus they call them the easy vloggers or the granddad vloggers. I am more attached to the granddad vloggers, the people that just be themselves. You know, not the age group. It's the type of vlogging that Benji teaches about. Just be normal, do something. Don't be overly fancy.
Yeah, and that speaks to the power of live streaming, but it also speaks to the power of that statistic, which is AVD, which is a statistic that Benji has obsessed over because it is a representation of the depth of connection that the average viewer has with you to some degree. To your point, Doc, that you're spending more time together. And that's why I found this next piece so fascinating, which is that the live stream power carries through even to the vertical formats. So let's go and take it up on the screen here. You can see that after the fact, 24 hours after, it actually increased to a 10-minute watch time on average, even for shorts, right? And if I go to the next page here, you can see that it continued to increase here too for the horizontal one up to 14 minutes as well. And so the people who ended up watching were watching for a very long time and spending a ton of time.
Is this a glitch, Doc?
And
Is this a
No,
it's actually
no, dude. It's because people build that connection. And by the way, let's not give you the secret sauce right now, Benji. Okay, I got to sneak an Ecamm joint in because he's also recording a vertical one. All you got to do is hand that to Nucci and be like, anywhere where I said a tip about buying a particular product or doing this, you know, like boiling your tofu to make it taste better, send those as shorts to Facebook so that they can give me my $1,000.
literally.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I know that you were going to finish something, but Doc, this blew my mind. Okay, so for anyone listening to this, when I first started the live stream, the AVD for the vertical version of my live stream is 2 minutes. That's not mind-blowing. It's shorter. It's still pretty long for vertical content. Definitely beats most shorts. But it went to almost 10 minutes on the vertical. That is mind-blowing for me because it means that they were watching the live stream, and live streams typically don't hit your, suggested at the right time.
Yeah.
That's pretty obvious, right? So you might watch it for a hot second or whatever. 2 minutes is pretty long. But then they're like, you know what? I'm going to go back to it.
I know.
So is this people going back to it and then watching it maybe in its entirety or for much longer. This is where like, and the reason I bring it up, we thought it was a glitch.
Yeah. And to me, that speaks to the power of that discovery feature, Doc. Because Benji, you talked about, well, maybe people go there and then they watch it on YouTube, or maybe there's somebody who's tracking you across the internet. Let's say that those things aren't even true. They've watched you on Facebook. They've watched you on Shorts. The next time you pop up on their feed, are they more likely to watch your long form horizontal content? 100%. Of course they are.
And they're also more likely to watch the vertical because they know what they're going to get because of the consistency and because he's what he's doing. Now, tell me you haven't done this yourself. You pop the phone over and somebody's live and he's like, I kind of want to watch this, but let me do the hunt for some gem. So you scroll, hunt for some gem. You go about 10, 15 finger swipes down, give up, go back to the live, watch the live for a long time on vertical. I know if I done it, everybody else done it. I ain't that weird. Well, a little bit.
Well, because you're hunting for the vertical version?
Well, no. What I'm saying is you're hunting for a gem, right? Yeah. That's the reason why vertical feed works so well, the For You page and all of that. It becomes like a slot machine mentality. There's a dude named Nir Eyal, Nireyal. He wrote a book called Hooked. That book, he actually did the initial pre-launch party at my co-working space in Honolulu. So I've seen the book like when it first came out. Definitely read that book. But he talks about a behavioral pattern that's called BMAT. And it's the reason why Facebook and Twitter at that time had just turned off the end of the page. In the OG days, you scroll to the end, you had to push next. And you scroll to the end, you had to put next. And they turned it off because people hunt by nature. We forget that we're animals, but we hunt by nature. So you're hunting for a gem. And all they had to do was give you a crumb of something dope every once in a while. So Austin's on Facebook, scroll, hockey post. Oh, dang, that was good. Boom, scroll. Boom, here's Guy Lafour's greatest hits. Boom, scroll. Here's Oldie the Goldie, greatest saves. And now, you know what I mean? Like now he's in there. Look, Wayne Gretzky, look how fast he could get to this puck before the puck got to where the puck was going. Now he's there. Hour later, what he's supposed to do pre-calc? Absolutely. Was he stuck on Facebook? Absolutely. Because they knew exactly before you're about to leave, by the way your thumb twitches, let me give you the gem that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And the reason why he knows that, because he helped write that addiction into a game like We Farm or whatever back in the day, and he felt bad about it. So he left the company to go write this book. He was working for that game company, Zynga, with Little Red Dog before. And yeah, anyway, this is why. And so Benji, people go to the thing, they see this live, they don't have time for this. So they start scrolling, looking for something cooler, and then go right back to the live because I do have time for this.
You know, I want to round this out so that way we can get out of here. We have one little small segment that we always close out with, but I did want to get to the thing that Benji was excited to show you, which is just, yeah, it's just interesting. It shows you, Doc, I'm going to make you do it one more time and tell me which analytics are for the short form content and which one are for the YouTube proper content. And this one is by age. So the one on the left primarily shows you that the highest bracket of people who are watching are younger people, 25 to 34. It's a huge number. It's almost 50%. And then it kind of declines linearly until you're at 65, who are like 6% of people watching, right? On the other side, it's the same kind of stair-step look, maybe a little less so, but mostly the same stair-step thing, but the opposite direction. The funnel's going the other way. So the young people are watching less, so like 25 to 34 is like 12%, and 65 plus is 30%, which is actually a little shocking that there's so many people that are that age who are watching this content after the fact. Now, I'm not 100% sure exactly how these are counted, but Doc, if you had a guess, which one is shorts and which one is YouTube regular?
Oh, YouTube regular is definitely the OGs be sitting on the TV because we got the heat impact going. We got ice packs on the knees. we say that. Well, actually, no, because my mother-in-law used to watch all kind of stuff on TV and she was mostly locked in on Food Channel. And then I showed her that she could watch people doing recipes in Japanese or in Okinawan on YouTube. She don't watch regular TV no more and she's pushing 80. You know, because she can watch Hogan programming, that's original Okinawan language, Uchinago. She can watch Okinawan programming on YouTube because, you know, Okinawan. Oh, I like watch YouTube. And that's it. That's all she watches. And she will be talking to them like they can hear her in the whole 9 yards. So I'm just using her as a litmus test. It has to be the ring.
So you're saying the people who are older are watching the YouTube regular, is what you're saying?
Yes, horizontal. Yes.
If I were you, I would have guessed the same thing. Here is the big reveal.
Shut the front door.
That's what I'm saying, Doc.
Shut the front door.
Okay, so real quick,
Drop this notebook.
real quick. Okay, by the way, for the audience that's watching, this is actually a huge, huge deal, and I'll tell you why. I've always thought when you experiment, you might find something new, okay? You might like tap into some unknown, and you're gonna do something different, and the results can kind of like yield something like a secret. Also, when you experiment, sometimes you appeal to a new audience. The fact that this is vertical, I don't typically appeal to that demographic. And I have no like qualms of who watches me, okay? But if this is on one of my first dual streams,
Yeah.
and I'm tapping into a 65 plus audience, by the way, you want to talk about book sales? I should be doing a cookbook right now.
Very true.
Because this is the demographics that would be buying my cookbook if I do it enough. And you talk about trust and wanting to support me. So why this is a big deal, other than the fact that both Doc and I had the same reaction.
Oh yeah, I think we all did.
I was like looking at this, like, this is why I think that the analytics might be wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. I've heard of creators literally like having their second win on a platform, including YouTube. Second win meaning like another chapter where they're like blowing up and getting more views when they just do something different. You think you're catering to this audience, but because you change something up, or like the technology is changing, or the algorithm just adjusted, boom, you're getting discovered by a whole nother audience. I can assure you, the ones on the older side, they probably don't even know who I am.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, oh, who's this? And they're watching on whatever device.
Well, go back a couple slides, right? We saw that. Like literally they are a bunch of new people to your channel. Sorry for all of the chains. Okay. Right here, you can literally see that 80 to 90% of the people who are watching that vertical are new to your channel. So I agree with you. They're definitely not.
Yeah, I mean, and this is crazy because I don't even know how to read this, because it's breaking all the rules. And the takeaway is this, and Doc, I definitely want to hear what you think, because like it looks like your brain's working overtime right now. Not just because like, you know, like we've been going for 2 hours and tired. No, but because this like doesn't make sense. The takeaway for creators is live streaming is a whole nother ball game. All the rules are different. All the things that we used to think apply aren't gonna apply here. And part of it too is I'm just doing something no one else is doing. You want to talk about the shorts feed and hunting for content? Nobody is doing this on YouTube's shorts live feed. No one has a show that's cutting to different angles with only 2 cameras and it looks like it should be on Food Network. Honestly, the only thing that's separating me and Food Network is that it's not in 4K, okay? And that's why we have to upgrade the things. Now, you don't have to, but I don't want to do what you just said, Doc. I want to do like shorts. I want to do TikToks from my live stream content. And it's a matter of just like clipping it out, not even editing it, literally just clipping it out. But this right here, and so Doc, like, because I was actually kind of shocked too. I thought you would like get his trick. You're like, oh, he's not gonna pull one on me. Why is this curveball shocking you?
Because like, you know, again, I do my community, most of the people are 40 plus, right? We call it Gen X plusers. So 42 right now is Gen X. And they all watch on TV. So I'm like, it has to be the TV. It has to be the TV. Like that's all we ever talk about. But it's amazing. So that means that, you know, OGs who are out and about, maybe they're traveling, maybe they're on the road, like they're actually consuming vertical content. And if you listen to the noise, which is why as a Army person, we do signal to noise. Signal lets you know what's really going on. A lot of time noise is there to distract you. If you paying attention to signal and not noise, everybody would tell you that old people don't be on their phones. Only the kids are on their phones or whatever. And I was always telling them, when we were coaching YouTube back in the day, the largest growing demographic on social channels was 55 plus. And nobody wanted to hear that. But I'm like, they got money and nothing to do all day. So they're watching more than you think. They are. Why I am amazed by this stat. This is why you hired a math teacher, bro. Because this And I'm with you, right? I love to experiment. I just posted to you guys a book that you can check out, and I'll tell the audience. There's a lady named by Anne-Marie Lecomte, and she has a book called Tiny Experiments. And it's this something that I live by now. I'm always trying little experiments because it's easy to get complacent. And then, I hear all these creators complaining about what the YouTube is doing and what the algorithm is doing. And I'm like, YouTube is testing. So the algorithm stuff, by the time one of us creators makes a video to tell you how to game the algorithm, they've already changed it, because they're forever doing tiny little experiments. And their only goal is to deliver us as viewers the best content as possible. They don't owe us as creators anything. If you want to get seen by people, you make good content. You know what I'm saying? And then once you make good content, then more and more people will share it and more people will give it. And we love to blame everybody else for when we're not performing, but us not performing is on us. The platform's job is to literally show people what they want to see. And nobody wants to hear that because it puts the onus on you. And, Austin, you mentioned something funny and I had to crack a joke. You had mentioned about the distraction. Like everybody loves to talk about the distracted attention. You know how your man over there been married so long and how I've been going on 26 years this year? Because I tell you what, we don't get no more. We don't get distracted. That will get you hit. That will get you punched right in the throat. So when it's good, you're not distracted, right? When it's good, when things are going good, you're not distracted. Like my neck ain't even try. She's a black belt too. My neck is not trying to be like, She was like, boom. I'm like, ah. I don't want to catch no Mike Getty upside my head like that one kickboxer girl that only throws kicks. My other half can do that. And she's short, so it's not gonna hit me in the face. It's a little picture that way. She's
By the way, I just want to, and I know that we got to end. I should probably head home soon, but Doc, I just checked my last live stream that I did a couple days ago was butter chicken. Shout out to Neutrally, the thumbnail editor. Or was that me? That was you? The butter chicken? I just checked the analytics there. The AVD on that is 10 minutes on the vertical live stream.
And it does nothing but go up. That's the amazing thing.
And it keeps going up. That's what you expect for horizontal content, for a vlog or a long form piece of content. So this is wasn't this my theory about TikTok? So I'm holding an event. Doc's going to be going next week. And I'm just going to tell you 3 themes, right? One is long on other platforms, on all platforms, live stream, and the last one is think longer for brand deals. This shows me why long is working on TikTok and long is working on Instagram and even Facebook, vertical content, right? Short form content. Now people are just comfortable, and guess what? People are putting up good content on vertical platforms. Yeah. And this data is literally showing like they're comfortable watching longer videos in a vertical format. And this is what's crazy. Matt said this right here 5 years ago. I interviewed Matt when I first met him. So you said you like Matt, right? I knew right away. I was like, this guy's different. And he came here, right, from Seattle. And after interviewing for a whole hour, I should find that, I asked him one question. Because I always know people that are in the trenches and doing it the way he was doing it. He was uploading like 2 to 5 a day. I was like, what do you think for the future of content? And he goes, long form vertical videos. This is like January of 2021. I was like, oh, you're crazy. He's like, yeah, no, people are going to watch longer videos in a vertical format. And of course, I'm this old fogey over here doing YouTube vlogs, right? This is before I did the new vlog strategy. And, that would have confirmed my thought, right? Like no one's going to watch that. They're going to go to YouTube. No, this year, Doc, one of the big things, if you're listening to this, you're going to be at my creator event next week, I'm just going to give you a little preview. Long form vertical content is working on other platforms and people don't even know it, but people are watching it. One of the creators I'm going to interview on stage, he's a long form TikTok creator. We're doing, how long is Alex?
3 minutes.
3 minutes, is a lifetime on TikTok, okay? When people are used to 30 seconds. And what's interesting is he's like, oh, I'm going to go horizontal on YouTube. Now I'm like, why? Why? Like, if people are watching my stuff, and I would argue my stuff is not nearly as good as his stuff, oh my gosh, all he has to do is do it now. That's what's crazy. He was limited to what he could do on TikTok, partly because of the platform, but also the behavior. On YouTube, though, he could legit do 10-minute documentaries. That's what he does. So I'm excited because this data alone, again, I'm still like questioning it. At like one time, like in a month when YouTube fixes this glitch, I'm like, oh, these are all going to go from 10-minute AVDs, 9-minute AVDs to like 30, 60 seconds. And if it doesn't, it's a whole new ball game.
Yeah, to me, this is the first lesson, and I'll wrap this here, is that the important piece is the discovery mechanism, not necessarily how people are watching. If you think about the behavior of the discovery mechanism where they're initially looking for your live streams, they're on shorts and they're scrolling. We talked about distractions. The next distraction, Doc, is the next scroll of your thumb down. It's very easy to go to the next one, right? If they're seeing the replay of the vertical, what was originally on the shorts feed, it's showing up not in their shorts feed, it's showing up on their home feed. The discovery is slightly different. What do they have to do? They're not just being fed that content and seeing it and then deciding to stay or not to stay. They are actively deciding to go and click on that content and watching from there. And so that is the first lesson. Neutrally, if you can bring up the slides, I'll give the rest of the lessons as a recap here. Our initial conclusions of the multi-streaming experiment. Number one, Shorts is truly about discovery of new audiences, which is what Doc knew before we even said it here. Number two, YouTube continues to push long-form horizontal after the stream, not as much with long-form vertical. So this is the one thing that pushes against what you were saying, Benji. That being said, the actual engagement is about the same between the two of them after the fact. Next, viewers are more engaged on long-form horizontal on average, right? Even after the fact when the vertical ones start going up, they never reach the level of horizontal. And we saw that also with the Paramount thing as well. And so that was the set of conclusions that we had for our multi-streaming.
You know why that is, though?
What is that?
Because at one point, you're like, I might as well watch this on the TV.
That's very.
If I'm like sitting here on this phone for whatever 10 minutes, like just let's finish on the TV. That's what I would.
And the chat UI on vertical is problematic. The day that we get a better way to chat with our TVs, like a little extra keyboard or something that connects to the Apple TV, oh, game recognized game. Right now, chatting on it is hard. So what I end up doing is I have you on the TV, but I'm chatting on my phone. Right.
By the way, YouTube recognizes that too. They've noted that as one of their primary objectives is to give you the chat experience on your phone while you're watching on TV.
Which is, by the way, was already happening on long form.
Yeah.
People, well, what would happen is like you would be prompted to comment on your phone, but it was going on the TV.
Exactly.
I don't know. I don't know how.
Sorry to interrupt you, Doc.
No, so you guys are right. And so what they need to do, though, is on the chat interface, they need to get rid of everything else on the YouTube page and just give me a chatting mechanism and it's connected to the stream. Because right now, when the other stuff is there, it's easy to accidentally move away and you can't really tag people properly on mobile, but you can tag really well, on the desktop. And so, yeah, I end up doing this. Even iPad, dude, 12 years of iPad, you can't tag on iPad, YouTube. I love you. The next time I see y'all, we having this conversation because it drives me insane. Like there's shortcut keys don't work on iPad and it should. So they're going to come up with a way where you can just chat on your phone and it sends it to the computer and like, oh, it's going to be just gravy.
This all said, this is why we're so excited about live this year. Like I said, this is the year of live 2026, in my opinion. And I think the great way to close out the show today is just by reading. We've been doing a segment on the show where we read letters to a young creator from the Steve Jobs archive. Today is from Ando Tadao. Thank you, Doc, for attempting to coach me on that. I think I still messed it up. Who is a
Someone will come pick you, Dunny.
Is a self-taught Japanese architect known for his unique integration of architecture and landscape. And here's what he has to say. To you, young creators, swallowed by the turbulence of the era, seek the unchanging or what should not change, the essence of human culture. That is what architecture means to me. There is never one correct answer. The more extreme and uncompromising the dialogue, the more strenuous the dilemma that strains the heart, the stronger the life of architecture becomes. To you, young creators, the essence of life is not found in a place under a bright light. It exists in a time of struggle inside a shadow, as one strives toward the light far away. Don't lose sight of this light. That's Ando Tadao. Thank you, Doc, for joining us on today's episode of the show. And of course, thank you to our, go for it, Doc.
No, so if you ever get a chance to go see the seated Buddha inside the hill, your mouth won't work. I just want to tell you, when you see it, your mouth will get absolutely stuck. Arnaud Tadao is an absolute genius. It's like super good.
And of course, thank you to our sponsor, someone else who's a genius, Ecamm Live, the powerful live streaming platform for Mac. You can learn more about Ecamm Live in the link in the show notes, and you can get 15% off and support the show with our code BenjiTV15. As always, thank you to the students of Vlogging Academy. And thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.